to Hurrdat Sports Live.
When you wake up and you're like, oh, yeah, that's right, I fell yesterday.
Gel with the dunk. And USC will take a timeout. Nebraska looks like a whole different team.
38-35, Nebraska down by 3 points, opening minute, second half. Here's Bryce Sanford, pulls up the three. Got it! Bang! Bang! 4-point play chance. Bryce Sanford with a quick trigger, nails the three.
He'll swing, smoke a line drive to right field. Preston Freeman. That's a way to get this thing started here in the top of the seventh inning, down 6-2. Earn yourself a pinch hit knock.
Well, I've really enjoyed the early start. I think it's been good for us. We've been able to be outside the last few days, which when we were not anticipating, one way or the other. But it's been good. The guys that have come in that are new, the transfers, you can tell a lot of those guys have played a lot of football. They're mature. They know how to practice. They like to practice. The freshmen getting acclimated to what's expected of them. The guys returning. You can see a lot of guys making a lot of jumps. So it's good, just to be able to install, especially on defense, a new system and see who's learning it and how they're responding. And I'm glad we did it.
Good morning. Welcome in to Hurrdat Sports Live, presented by Next Gen Male Medical. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports HQ. What's up, DB?
How we doing?
We're doing good. And also, welcome back to the Damon Benning Twitter experience. Congratulations.
Yeah, let's go.
We got it back.
Let's go.
We're back.
Yeah, not a lot of faith from old Kobe and a lot of the folks out here. I didn't have a ton either.
A lot of haters. A lot of people like, you're never getting that thing back, DB.
No, but excuse me, you love my voice.
Sounds like you've been coaching or you're sick.
It took, I said all of about, outside of Saturday between 5:30 and 7:30, I said all of about 70 words for the weekend. So I'm just getting acclimated to talking again. But yeah, so it was crazy. So Sasha texts, or she called one of the two, and she goes, hey, I'm going to give this one more try.
Mm-hmm.
Bill found a way, our boss, the great Bill Hipsher, found a way to connect with X support team where you're not in like the cycle.
Yeah, like in the loop.
Where they just...
You can kind of get out of line and actually get some help.
Yeah, so I was like, oh, all right. She goes, be expecting an email. So I was like, cool. I sent an email, or they sent me an email. They said, hey, sorry, you're having problems, this, that, and the other. What email is connected with the account?
Mm-hmm.
I said, well, this is the email. They said, okay, pick a different one. So I said, all right. So I used the Damon at Hurrdat Sports, whatever. And they sent it back to me. But this is going through about 2 days. So I got 4 emails from X in 2 days. I had gotten 4 since January 21st.
Yeah, like in the month before that.
So I was feeling like I had a little bit of progress. And then Saturday morning, just on a humbug, this is weird, but I convinced myself because I needed something good. There was like this cardinal out in the backyard. It was super early. And my mom and my dad, they have this thing about cardinals, and it's kind of my mom's baby. And I was like, oh, shoot, something good must be about to happen today. I was hoping it was money. But turns out, so I was jacking around on my laptop, and they sent me back another email saying, okay, hey, we've connected this email to both Twitter accounts. So Hurrdat Sports Live and my own. So I'm like, Hurrdat Sports Live. I mean, Sasha basically slapped my hand for posting on that account. So I was like, yeah, I don't care about that account. The heck with the business. But it wouldn't let me like log in on my phone. So I was like, shoot, man. So I grabbed my laptop. I was like, well, let me try it this way. That joker worked. Like I got in.
Yeah.
And I was like, ooh, this is the furthest I've been. So my very first tweet, I was like, are we back? And nobody said anything. Well, then a couple people did. Then a couple people more did, and I was like, yeah, we're back.
There you go.
So I finally got it back. I finally figured out how to do it on my phone too. So yeah, I'm back like in the flesh.
And not voting for anybody's podcast.
No, man, out on podcasts. Shout out Ben Harstock. I hope he won his podcast way back when I got hammered. So it was like I had to get the Escalade back. I gave the house back.
It's tough, you know.
I unprotected my tweets. Came back to basically all of Nebraska staff following me, so no pressure there. Wait till they figure out what a hater I am. I'm gonna be killing those guys. Like, look, man, these last couple practices I saw, this is total trash. I'm just kidding. Oh, but I brought you something. I brought our listeners a gift.
What do we have?
So these pants, you guys, are super teeny. These are 30s. These are like 30 game worn football pants, like size 30. And my original number in there.
Yeah.
You see a little marker. This is the first year we went to Adidas. When you guys were so mad that we were messing with our pants.
From what, Apex? Was that what it was?
We went from Apex to Adidas. And these are my actual first white pants. Can you imagine me trying to get into these bad boys?
I can't imagine any adult trying to get into those. 30 is tiny.
Look, man.
30 is real small.
Yeah. So I thought you would like the Adidas first year issued.
Yeah, we got the original issue Adidas
game pants.
Nebraska pants.
Yeah. You can have those for $10 if you want.
No stripes on those.
Are you a big no stripes guy?
I don't care. I thought the
So I have the red ones and I have another pair of white ones and I have white ones with the stripe, but the red ones aren't even like a real red.
Yeah, it's like it's a kind of a strange color.
I'm like, who wore these? So I left those at the house.
I didn't like the big like the single solid like weird swoopy stripe that they did for like
swoopy. What's swoopy mean?
It's like when it
like the little dog with the house.
It kind of swooped at the end. It kind of had like no, that's Snoopy.
No, that was like early 2000. That was like Jamal
02.
Lord and those guys.
Like
yeah, Lord wore those pants.
I didn't like those, but I don't mind the two solid stripes or one solid stripe. I'm fine with that.
Yeah,
I don't have a lot of opinions on pant stripes.
Kobe, I'm gonna have that smoker fired up. I think I know I'm gonna do a tri-tip at some point this week.
Big Red,
maybe for Fajitas.
Big Red Gun said pants are optionals on, but not anymore. We're in the office. We got to wear pants all the time.
Yeah, I'm wearing pants today.
I know. We all got pants. Everybody's wearing.
I'm
pants.
about to ditch pants though for the year, probably coming up.
Going shorts.
Yeah.
It is March. You know, we're about that time.
Yeah, you reclaimed your other month, and now you're good. Mike, that Twitter thing was huge, though.
Yeah,
I tried not to abuse it. I had to practice a few things.
Yeah, can't get back in the groove of it.
Yeah, I do have to shout out this guy that I don't know in Quincy, Illinois.
Mm-hmm.
My man, Dan O'Brien, who had one of the greatest tweets of all time.
Okay.
Would you like to know what Dan said?
What did Dan say?
Dan said something that makes me mad that I've told you about 2,265 times. Dan says, I've seen a number of accounts, some school accounts too, likely run by young people and other young journalists who report losing scores first. The proper way to list a score is the winning score goes first every single time. Your team did not lose 68-75. They lost 75-68. Thank you. That's the tweet.
That is a pet peeve of mine.
It drives me up the wall.
Drives me crazy.
And I don't know who told somebody, but that was okay.
Or they're like, hey, you put your score first no matter what, basically,
That's
is what it turned into.
the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
I hate it.
So shout out Dan O'Brien.
Hopefully
he's like, who's this random guy
who
in Omaha? I'm out here in Quincy, Illinois.
How did you even find it?
Somebody retweeted it.
Oh, okay.
And then I saw it.
Yeah, that's
it was a coach too, so it must drive coaches crazy.
It's a pet peeve.
It's funny, like all my followers are coming back.
Yeah.
Yeah, just coming back up here. It's like, no, he's back. He's back. He's back. He's
back.
Did
a bunch of people unfollow you?
Yeah, I probably lost. I went from like 56K to like, I don't know, 55.8 maybe.
Okay, so not crazy.
No, not.
Yeah. No. Not dropping like 10% or anything like that.
No. So
that's good.
They're back.
How was the weekend otherwise?
Quiet?
Yeah,
quiet.
Just
Quiet. Quiet.
No big deal.
Send some TikToks at 3 a.m.
Yeah, I did hit you. So was that just you? I hope that wasn't the group.
No, it was the group.
Oh man,
It was.
Well, Jacob doesn't care. He's gonna turn that thing off.
Yeah,
So which one was that?
that was the Luca. That was the Luca.
Oh, Luca
JJ
yelling
Redick
at
one.
JJ Redick.
Yeah. Also, can I just
JJ
say,
Redick sucks, but so does Luca. So it's like
it's your two favorite,
it's trauma.
two of your three favorite Lakers.
It's so bad. It is so bad. I don't know how they dusted off your sucky Golden State Warriors, but
Well, because no one that is a real basketball player plays for that team currently.
yeah. But I threw you some wood. I threw you a bone when I sent you Pajimski on the role players' top leading scorers in high school stat. That dude was going for 36 a night in high school.
Dude, Pods, I could see how he was nice in high school, but he's that
Those guys are all role players. That top 10 list were all role players in the NBA.
yeah.
But every last one of them were going for 31 plus a night in high school.
Yeah, Luke Kennard going for 40 a night is
40.
insane.
He's the second all-time leading scorer in the state of Ohio.
That makes sense. I mean, that's I don't know how you score that many points a game and not be. That's insane. 40 points a night in 32 minutes.
That dude's just a bucket.
You know how hard you got to go to get
A bucket.
and especially because his team's probably blowing people out, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So to get 40 a night when you're probably not even playing all 32 minutes, that's hard to do.
Yeah. Kobe, I do. So the lady, I got another pair of some peepers and they're 2.0s. And she said, hon, let's just let you know she's about 90. Once you get to certain numbers, you probably just need real glasses. I was like, yeah, I've heard that before. Because I apparently asked for an exorbitant magnification.
They're like, yeah, we don't really do that. These are for like marginal improvements and
Yeah, I
readers.
don't need you to. I don't need you to ad lib the conversation.
Oh, okay, my bad.
No,
I was trying to help out.
No, we're good.
No? Oh, okay.
We're way good. We're so good.
I will say, okay, so the clip you sent me of Luca and JJ Redick, I don't really care what happened up until this point.
Mhm.
And, like, it's pretty clear Luca's trying to avoid him
Yeah,
on the way back. Like he's
Redick's going to go hold his hand, so he has to walk towards him.
he's doing like the banana curl around first base, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
If a grown man comes over to me and like grabs the arm, is
Yeah.
like, that's probably not gonna go well.
Yeah, he's lucky. I'd try to backhand him.
Like
to be honest.
if he does that to like Joker, he's getting those crazy eyes that we saw the other day, and he's probably catching some hands.
I'm like, what are you doing? Go coach.
Also, like that's an
JJ.
adult. Like if you want to go talk to him, walk down there in a minute and like let it chill out a little bit.
Yeah, read the room. Read the room, JJ. Read the flipping room.
It was weird. It was a weird situation.
But it was pretty. I mean, it was a fairly ho-hum baseball weekend. I was a little disappointed in Nebraska. We'll talk to Kyle tomorrow about
Nebraska baseball, yeah.
baseball.
Yeah.
Basketball, hit the X button.
Yeah, it was so
And the rest of the Big Ten feels like they should help Nebraska out. Good morning, by the way, Suave. Hello, Shane. Rico, once again,
Good morning.
Did not wait for me in the parking lot. Rico comes in hot.
Selfish.
But I think Rico knows I'm chilling. Like, I'm not in a hurry. I'm dinking around. I got 15 things out at my car.
I don't know.
No,
what
this means, so that's code. You can't read Suave?
No.
We had stuff to get ready for with the cameras because not everything was ready. So I had to get in here and set it up.
That was a good translation. That actually makes
I think
sense.
that's what see? We speak minority.
You're better. I guess my minority speak a different language.
No, yeah. Your other half is dominant.
Like right hand, left hand dominant, like one of these.
Strong side. Anyway, it's fine. Can't really. My man.
Rico just went John Carlos over there on us.
He gets it. He gets it.
Speaking of,
He wasn't thrown off by the last name Carlos either. He was like, nah, this is pretty urban.
I mean,
Stop.
okay.
That's all I'm going to say about that. Look. It's fine.
Anyway,
I want you to go Baker-Mazara and quit on me.
no, we're in March now, so I feel like I got a little leeway.
Wow. As if you don't already take liberties.
I tried not to for 28 consecutive days. I tried to be.
It might have been your worst month. You want to go back to some of those 2-week early shows in February? You were atrocious. I almost had to leave a couple of times.
Try to be respectful.
Yeah, is that what it was? Try the other way. God, my voice does suck. Figure this thing out.
One of the most bizarre things about the weekend was in the Nebraska basketball game with Chad Baker-Mazara.
Yeah.
Who is apparently just not playing basketball for USC anymore.
The whole thing was weird. I mean, from the minute he's playing.
I think you guys have the screenshots, right, of Chad in game.
Like
where this is not end of game. He's not like wasting time. This is 4 minutes left. I think this is the first one. 4.5 minutes left about.
Yeah.
In the first half, there was not like he was the last guy up the court and then just does this for several seconds.
Holding the ball.
Yeah. He's got the ball.
Yeah.
And then he does it again on the very next possession. He did, and that's a different picture, believe it or not. You can tell by where he's standing. He did this multiple times in the first half. And then there was another possession where he just isn't in the picture for like 10 seconds. And so obviously, and this was before he fell and got injured or whatever happened. Yeah. This is in the first half,
which
that happened early second.
When both television and radio make it a point during a game in which Nebraska's inexplicably just giving it to the other team, apparently, like, here's a turnover, here's a turnover, here's a turnover for you, and here's a turnover for you. Let's send SC to the line because they lead the league in getting to the line. But in the midst of all that, both television and radio kept highlighting CBM.
Yeah, the weirdness of what was happening.
So clearly it was a thing.
Yes. Yeah, and it was a thing for the first half when he's doing this. It was a thing in the second half when he ends up going to sit in the crowd.
Yeah, so I'm getting out of the car. So I just had gotten to Fairfield. And Aaron, my buddy, Degenerate Aaron, he texted me and he goes, so we're just sitting with the crowd now?
Yeah.
And I didn't know what he was talking about at first.
Yeah.
So I walked across to the establishment and saw that they were actually having a hoop game on. I was like, stay here for a minute. Yes, I did do that in Fairfield.
It was a super strange thing. And then we hear pretty early Sunday morning that he's just not on the team anymore.
Yeah. I wonder really what was going on.
Yeah, because I know he took a hard fall. It didn't really seem like the injury was the precipitous here in terms of him not being on the team anymore. Musselman just he told me he couldn't go. And then he's sitting in the stands with a guy with Rodney Rice.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it sounds like he got booted because it was one of those things where Musselman probably got hot and told him and said something like in the moment, like, GTFO or go someplace else, or you don't want to play, go sit in the stands. Like I could hear, because I've had a couple of infamous halftime meltdowns, and I could see where you would say something to a player.
Yeah.
And this may just have been a particular day where the player took him up on it.
Yeah.
Because, Arenas right now is like, hey man, like let my people go. He's like,
Gilbert's on Twitter this morning being like, hey, you got to get back on the team.
Yeah, and I'm over Gilbert, even though I'm happy with Gilbert because they're all killing Rashad McCann. So I told you.
Yeah, you said was not a good dude.
It's just not a good dude.
Yeah.
And it wasn't anything to do with he wasn't even really in that podcast space yet, acting a fool. He was just kind of getting started. I'm like, why did anybody listen to this dude? He's been a hater his whole life.
He was sort of just online acting crazy. Like he wasn't even doing it for money,
which is what So I can't really rock with Gilbert either. But
and also, clearly I wouldn't consider Gilbert Arenas an expert on like team chemistry, considering the guns in the locker room situation
or goading crazy people to further act crazy.
Yeah, like goading somebody who is
clearly playing with a half deck.
Yeah,
and a full clip.
Yes. Into doing some crazy stuff. So like wouldn't maybe be my go-to guru in terms of team chemistry. But also just called the rest of the team trash. His son is on that team.
Yeah. I mean, that's what
he didn't make an exception. He goes, everybody else is trash.
And people wonder why coaches are leery about like recruiting and signing high profile players' kids.
Yeah. It's not
fun.
Rainbows and butterflies.
No. I remember I told you, Coach Rule told me, and I'm not even high profile, but Coach Rule told me originally, he's like, look, man, I'll close your son.
Mm-hmm.
You better not turn out to be an idiot. I was like, huh, in that order?
I mean, that's fair.
No, but I could see that being like, and I would relate that to just like to the local level. Like if you're going to recruit an in-state player, man, you better make sure that you don't have to deal with what comes with it if it doesn't pop off early.
I mean, I have absolutely zero interest in naming names or anything like that, but I am almost 100% certain there are some very good players in the state that didn't get recruited because of that, because they didn't want everything else that went with them, whether it was whoever around them, right? Like I feel comfortable saying that. The other thing that I thought was interesting.
Hello, Austin. Hey, Suave, grab Austin. Go ahead, keep talking. This is a live show. We can do what the frick we want.
The other thing that it actually sort of made me appreciate, for whatever other circuses LeBron is a part of, hasn't really said anything about his kids playing college ball.
No.
Like hasn't said a word.
Well, I mean, he got his kid drafted.
That was after he was done at USC, though.
Which,
like, while he was at USC, he didn't say anything.
No, which again, I didn't have. I told you. Like if I could put my kiddo in the best situation possible, I would.
My argument,
which is why I never No. You have to come on in. Oh, here. No, you don't. No, you don't. No, you don't. Okay, yes, you do. This is a live show. Keep on talking.
My biggest argument with that was, is he actually putting him in the best possible position?
I'm gonna send you this. This is like a pretty cool story. So if you're looking for context, it was sent to Ravi and I about since you're getting ready for high school hoops. Okay. I'm just telling you that now because you're my buddy. Okay, thanks. And I wanted to be up close and personal, see if I could get smarter.
Always trying to get smarter, you know?
Why is Suave shaking his head at me? I like to keep this is a really good team. I like for people to know that our team is together.
Rico, where are you going to be this week? Oh, he doesn't have a mic.
No, but remember, who sent the group text talking about we were going to be short-staffed? So somebody's doing state basketball, and
so Austin's doing state basketball. Rico's going out to the Big Ten women's tournament.
Oh, that's right. I saw the WBB.
Yeah, so he's out there covering Nebraska.
So the Lady Huskers, they got Indiana. They got the Hoosiers. Who's everybody's daddy? Go coach. Go coach. I almost said Williams. Go coach. Yeah, it's Williams.
Yeah. Amy.
Yeah, I think Gusso sometimes. I think Williams.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's all right. It's all right.
Go Coach Williams and the Huskers.
It'll be all right.
It's fine.
That's not true, Dixie. That's not true at all.
It is. You were at an all-time piss poor behavior in February.
I don't think that's true.
Dude, the first half, we could barely get through a show without me wanting to choke you.
Well, that's not a February.
Come on, Matthew.
I don't know. It seemed like February was extra heightened.
That's all the time.
You know
is it possible that you were a variable in that situation? That maybe?
Oh yeah, my mood has been impeccable the last month. I mean, I have been a pillar of emotional consistency.
I just need you.
Go me.
I just need you to sleep at some point.
Good morning again.
I'm not even going to tell you about Saturday. So listen. So I mean, you're going through this deal with like Arenas and who here off again, on again. He famously didn't start against Nebraska.
Yep.
And you know, to TK's point, I know he's kind of he wasn't being tongue in cheek. It's kind of a humble brag because he told me earlier in the day that, you know, he told me the line. I gave my take. He's like, sounds like -2.5 in the second half is the best way to go. And I didn't know. I'm like, how do you already get a second half? Like TK he might be in that Aaron category, like degenerate.
Oh, he is.
Like,
yeah.
So
he stays on it.
I'm like, oh, okay. So what is what do we think that halftime meltdown was? Because not only was Nebraska really good, SC was atrocious.
Very bad.
So whatever Musclehead said to his team at the half, don't do that.
I mean,
I don't even know how you get those guys back.
Well, and They were up 5 at halftime. This is they were winning the game.
Well aware.
This isn't a situation where they had played pretty well. USC had in the first half. Nebraska didn't. I thought a lot of the turnovers you were talking about were, Sam Hoiberg in early foul trouble, and
when he sits,
they don't do well without Sam Hoiberg.
Not to go all because you hate this guy, but I was watching the T-Pups and Nuggets yesterday. Jokic went to the bench, up 8, and came back down 2. I was like, can't sit that guy. I have no idea what Jamal Murray was doing. He's clearly out to lunch, but that's just a random.
Jamal Murray's one of those guys that
I don't think you could rock with him.
If he's on a team without somebody like Jokic, he's just one of those guys that scores 25 points, but you win 25 games a year.
Jamal Murray's fitness looks like it's questionable. He has a bad body.
Yeah. He always has, though.
He's like one of those bad body guys.
Yeah, like your boy Melo.
That's not true. I don't even approve. Oh, good. I have somebody else here to defend
I just had
me.
to take a pot shot at.
Well, that's my guy too.
I know.
Yeah, that's.
Listen, there were times
stand for the Melo.
There were times Melo was not in
a little frumpy booty.
Yeah, he was a little soft around the edges. It's
fine.
The thing that happened. Like he's a grown man strong.
Yeah.
Okay.
He needed to make sure that he could handle his business.
I'm just saying he looked like, there were some years there he looked like Unc a little bit, like out there playing some ball.
Yeah, inexplicably. USC first half, 13 of 25, 4 of 12 from behind the arc. That's a paltry 33%.
Yeah.
Second half, 10 of 26. Would you like to have guessed what the Trojans, your Trojan man, was from behind the stripe?
In the second half?
Yeah.
Ooh, I'm trying to remember if they made any. I'm sure they had to have. I'm going to say 2 for 14.
Are you sure they had to have?
I'm not. I'm not sure.
They did
4, 6, 8, 12.
Didn't make a single 3.
I just thought by the law of large numbers, I must have missed one.
No. Nina Ross, 0 of 9. Finished shooting 19% from behind the arc.
That's pretty bad.
Well, they can't shoot threes anyway.
No, they can't.
So they just, return. But, I mean, nice half. You gave up 51 points to Nebraska in the second half.
I mean, Nebraska, the first 12 minutes of that half was on a 35-10 run.
Yeah. And don't tell me like you guys are hand-wringing. I had to listen to the Studio Network. And listen, I used to rock with BTN, the Big Ten Network. Those were my guys. Don't act like Price Sanford isn't first team all Big Ten. Stop. End of discussion. Done.
Absolutely.
You don't need to add 6. You don't need 8. No, Price Sanford is
one of the 5 best players in this league.
He is first team all Big Ten.
One of the 5 best players in this league.
I'm going to need everybody else to knock it off. No ham-hawing around, no hedging. Price Sanford is first team all Big Ten.
No argument here. None whatsoever.
Well, because you right at this very moment have some sense.
I'm a Price Sanford guy. You know that.
No, the rest of the day is going to be a crapshoot.
Well, it's I just flip a coin in my head and see what happens.
Yeah.
But I'm a Price guy.
I got to spend some time with Caleb this weekend. We were lamenting over the prowess of Price Sanford.
Yeah.
The dude just used to get to the rim. We knew he had a strap.
Yeah.
But
we saw it a little bit on Saturday.
We didn't really think of when
he came over from Iowa, nobody thought about him like that.
He was giving it to these guys. I was like, that dude's a bucket.
Yeah, I mean, 12 for 21?
Yeah, my hot take, you asked Fita or Alvin Mitchell. Back then, I said, Price is better than Peyton.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that has played out. But at the time, it was unpopular.
He just had more tools to his game. Now, Peyton was a lot more. I wouldn't say a lot. Peyton was a throat slitter, though.
Yeah, he could get it. I mean, Peyton could get it too.
He'd go get buckets, and he could give 2 cares. Oh, there's our other friend. She helped facilitate the emails to X.
All of our friends are here today.
And then when she's not trying to talk to me, she ain't trying to talk to me. She hung up on me once, and then I text her back the next day, and I was crickets. I was like, oh, see, what's good for the goose is not going to be my gander. I'm out on Sasha.
Kobe says Fred's been saying that about Price since the summer that he's more than a shooter. Yeah, I mean Price is, and you were saying that as soon as he transferred, that, you
You guys laughed me out of the group chat.
I don't remember
That was
part.
so early.
Yeah, that was.
I don't think you were crazy.
Yeah.
Because at the time you were like, man, give me Dix.
Yeah, out of the two, I prefer Josh Dix over Price.
And that roster was still coming together because I'm not sure. That was like the final piece after Freeman.
Yeah, he was after Freeman because there was some discussion about whether they wanted to
the last piece they needed
or not. And then, I think Dix was pretty close to the end of that transfer portal class for Creighton, which was obviously did not go how anybody wanted.
I didn't go all in. I mean, it's off season, and there was no way I was going to be right at the time. It just had to play out. But I was like, I don't know.
I mean, you called your shot early on Price.
I was like, I don't know, guys. That dude's pretty good.
I had not seen him play in high school at all.
Yeah.
So all I had to go on was Iowa tape, right? And that's all Fran basically let him do was shoot, which he was obviously terrific at. But no, I mean, first team all Big Ten, no question.
Did you see? And by the way, thank you to the rest of the Big Ten, everybody but Michigan State. See what's going to happen with this whole Michigan State thing.
Everybody.
And Nebraska is clear of Michigan State. Nebraska just has to handle their business. Plus, they have the tiebreakers. But because ever since you took a great big duker on Michigan State, like they've actually act like they have a pulse.
They've played better. I still don't love their offense.
No,
I mean,
but did you see Fierce close the game out last night or yesterday? He hit the mid-range dagger. He had like 10 assists. Like I get what you don't like because I don't love it either. They dribble
it's just a lot of stagnant dribbling.
Man, that dude's tough though.
I understand that.
He's kind of a wild card though.
So, and again, context is important with Michigan State. When talking about the best teams in the Big Ten and the best teams in the country and who I think can win national titles, I think that becomes a flaw. When you're talking about beating other good teams, like, yes, they're capable.
Yeah.
Right. It's the Darren Peterson, Cam Boozer argument. Like, it's within the context of already being good. I'm not saying they're trash. I'm saying if you're asking me to say who can win a national title, I think their offense becomes too easy to defend against elite teams.
Right.
So, like, I'm out on that.
Yeah, and you're out on Purdue too, right?
Yeah, I've been out on Purdue for a little bit.
So I saw a stat. The last 5 games, Purdue's defensive field goal percentage, they're giving up like 54%.
Oof.
Shooting.
Oof. That's not going to work.
How is that possible?
That's pretty rough. It's hard to shoot.
Listen, it was one of those stats I had to rewind the television.
Yeah, or you just thought they said it wrong or something, or
I
heard
was
it wrong.
like, did he just say that?
54%.
Yeah.
5 games isn't like a tiny sample size for
No,
that.
they're giving up. They're giving up. They just look bad.
Yeah, I'm not a Purdue. And the metrics still kind of like them, but I'm not a Purdue.
I know
guy
you canceled them.
They were
3
pretty
weeks
early.
ago. Yeah.
They were pretty early.
Yeah.
They're falling
almost a month ago.
They're in that 5-game stretch, they've fallen out of Ken Palm's area where they could win a national title on defensive efficiency. They're out.
Yeah, well,
they're
clearly
out of the
the
top
metrics are even worse the last handful of games.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
But I mean, until that point, they were right on the edge of the number you need to be at defensively, and the last 5 games kicked them out.
So I want to go back to SC just for a second.
Mm-hmm.
Does Musselman have to be in some kind of trouble?
So this is just year 2, right?
He wants me back on camera. I don't want to. Why, Rico? I know what I'm doing. Damn it. Remember when I used to try to freeze the screen?
Yeah, that's why you're not in control of the camera anymore.
Well, that's a multitude of reasons. It never would have got plugged in correctly.
Yeah, that's why
My man did it like I was KJ or somebody. He was like,
He was saying, come on.
Hey, scoot over. No,
Scooch on over.
Get back in the screen. Yeah.
He's got
to be in
just year 2 at USC,
but he looks like those guys aren't rocking with him.
Mm-mm.
Did you even know Wood? Like, they have a good roster.
They have a good roster, but it's sort of a weird roster.
Shouldn't Cam Woods be kind of more of a focal point? Cam Woods is good.
You would think so, but the roster never came together, at all.
I mean, not to make fun of the band, but that's number 2 is clearly better than Ezra. He's Asar. He's a good player.
No,
probably a number 2.
I agree. I agree with you. I don't know. I don't know what his deal is in terms of, and this is why somebody, I can't remember who it was on Twitter, was messaging me about my Diet Calipari take. And I told him, like, yeah, I think they go about things a similar way. I actually have infinitely more respect.
talking about Muss and Cal?
I have infinitely more respect for Calipari because you generally don't, whatever happened this year at USC doesn't really happen for Cal. You might not like his in-game stuff. You might not like his X's and O's. Generally, everybody's bought in, and generally you don't have this lack of any sort of cohesive. Like, you understand what the roster is. Mm-hmm. Most people understand their roles, even when they're really high-profile guys. They understand what the end game is, and they're okay with it. That doesn't seem to be the case with Musselman, at least this year. And I could argue several times along the way with Musselman. He does not have the same, like, that's why I kind of rush to defend Cal sometimes, because I think what he does is harder than we give him credit for.
And his guys don't get out of pocket either.
No, they don't get out of pocket. They at least, the effort is almost always there, whether we like the result or not. And I understand there's parts of things that are more obvious about coaching basketball that he probably is below average in, especially considering the level of player he gets. But I actually think the thing he does is really, really challenging. And you've mentioned this before about managing that many good players
it's hard.
Is really, really hard. And that might be the thing Calipari's best at. Like, I can't think of a single time that you've actually had problems with a Calipari team in terms of guys getting out of pocket. It just doesn't happen. Now, you've got some other, like, were they eligible? Were they not eligible? Were they getting paid before they were allowed to? Like, whatever. That's college basketball, college sports stuff pre-2021, right? That's just what it is. But in terms of guys like quitting teams or being kicked off or things like that, like, he doesn't have that.
Yeah.
And for the way he puts rosters together, that's actually kind of impressive. And so I've always appreciated that about Cal. I don't know what USC's appetite is, because I thought it was kind of weird. They got, I know Enfield.
Did you catch Golden just talking slick to Cal?
Yeah,
he told him to sit the flip down and get the flip off the court. And Cal said, "What'd you say?" Like, Golden talked to Cal like a stranger.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I've got the clip.
I would say I don't think I saw that.
Yeah, just
because that's when Cal's getting waxed by 40, right?
I mean, people just out here talking reckless.
Also, like, I'm gonna be honest, Cal comes off nice. I kind of think he's about that life. I'm not sure I'd talk to Cal that way.
Well, don't tell that to Don Chaney.
Yeah, look, Don Chaney was crazy.
I'll kick your ass.
That man had crazy eyes. Even when he wasn't mad, Don Chaney had crazy eyes.
Man.
And I'm just saying,
East Coast guy too.
I think Calipari got the better end of that.
Yes, I don't know. Did everybody realize that CBM is 26 years old too? Like, you're too old to be acting like that.
I mean, first of all, you're too old to still be playing college basketball. Let's start there. Let's start there.
Does he smell like fish?
You know,
I smell like beef.
You know some of the people that were in his recruiting class?
CBM?
Yeah.
At 26, those guys are in the league.
For a while. I think they're on second contracts. Cade Cunningham was number one player in that class.
Yeah.
Jonathan Kuminga was in that class. That's like, we're talking, Kuminga has been on a second contract and traded. Cade Cunningham's on a second contract. And not only is he on a second contract, he's on a second contract and has turned around the Detroit Pistons.
Yeah, I was not exactly on par with critiquing Cade Cunningham. Turned out to be a much better offensive player than I thought.
Yeah, he's a better scorer than I thought.
Yeah, did not see the scoring prowess.
I thought not to this degree, but he's that oversized point guard. He's like 6'8" or whatever.
Yeah.
I thought there might be a little bit of like modern Jason Kiddish to his game a little bit, where he's not a super scorer, but like he's capable. He's not going to put up 25 a game, whatever he's at now. Yeah, I was wrong there. He's a pretty good ball player and has been in the league while his classmate Chad Baker-Mazara is getting kicked off of his fourth basketball team in college.
So I'm just going to throw this out there because sometimes I like to just see what's on the other side of the glass.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think CBM something was like really wrong with him, or you think he was just being lazy?
Based on the way he was acting before the incident that I don't want to call it an injury because I don't know, but before the incident preceded him getting out because of how he was acting in the first half, I don't think he's injured.
Well, he was playing well too.
Yeah. He was making some shots. Difficult. They were talking about.
He's like 4 of 9. He had like double-digit points. CBM was giving it to Nebraska.
Yeah, he was making some tough shots. Like he was doing the thing that he does. And then all of a sudden he started doubling over at half court and not getting into the front court on offense. Like it's weird. It's weird when a guy's dogging it on offense.
Yeah.
Right? Like you don't see that very often.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Guys will kind of like
they usually jake it on defense.
Or they'll like jog getting back and somebody will get a layup. Nobody's like, I don't want to get back to go play offense. That doesn't happen. So like I don't know what.
Yeah, KJ, he was the game's leading scorer.
Maybe he got banged up before that, and then the incident in the second half, he was just like, I'm not doing this anymore.
I just wish I could be a fly on the wall to know what was said at the half.
Yeah.
Because SC tanked.
Oh, terrible.
So they and I get it. Baker-Mazara was playing well, but they look like traumatized.
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder why he didn't start Arenas.
Yeah, I don't know. Like that's a part
I mean, for
of
the game, maybe they wanted to go bigger.
I guess, but
I don't know. Dank that. So I'm with you on the media timeouts, but that first media timeout went long.
It did.
What they take it at the 14-minute mark?
Yeah, but that was 10 minutes before this stuff.
No, I understand.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, if this was early, like he's at 15 minutes and guys are used to playing in 4 to 5 minute increments, like I could maybe see it. There was nothing I could figure out. Because I went back and watched it again yesterday to see if I could see something. And it just seemed like out of nowhere, he just started doubling over at half court.
Yeah.
Which I don't understand at all.
And then how about UCLA doing you a solid?
You know, they're helping out, you know?
Listen, Minneapolis, the house of horrors.
You big Minneapolis guy.
What is dark in that arena?
Yeah, I know. It's a weird.
Apparently UCLA couldn't shoot in there either.
You know, UCLA is, you know, my friendly Mick Cronin's out here. They're doing their best. I don't know what to do with this. Like I
Penn State beats Iowa. I mean, it was a good. If you're a Nebraska basketball fan,
I think they got a little help nationally too. With
KU helped them out.
Kansas, even Iowa State losing. I don't think Iowa State's going to fall off the 2 line, but it doesn't hurt.
No, Iowa State got drubbed. I don't think Iowa State led much in that game. I got to go back and see. That was kind of
so.
It felt pillar to postery.
Yeah, I don't think so. I'm gonna check the game flow real quick, but I don't think they led in that game. Looks like since about the 15, 14 minute mark in that game was the last time they led.
Yeah.
And then it was all Texas Tech the rest of the way out there. You know, they probably didn't get enough shooting from Lipsy, but that's probably a different story for a different day.
The hungry dog gets the bone.
I'm just telling you, Lipsy can't shoot. Anybody that tells you otherwise is
he was
fibbing.
3 for 9, 0 for 3 from 3-point range.
Yeah, he's a 28% 3-point shooter.
Yeah, no, it's not great. You don't want that. It's not good for you.
So
go ahead.
Are you ready to have super hot, ferocious takes and profess Texas Tech is better offensively without JT Toppin?
No, I'm not.
Okay, because
not ready to do that.
I have to kick you off the set.
Feel like you get sometimes you get a little boost emotionally, you know.
And it's 2 games in.
You're trying to galvanize.
So now would be about when it hits?
I think now would be about time where it starts to, the reality of it starts to click in a little bit. Who do they have coming up next? Texas Tech has TCU, BYU. So we might not see it until the Big 12 conference tournament. And so it might be even more fool's gold because, I mean, BYU can't guard me. And so
I think they could.
Probably. They got some length.
I think they would lock you up.
They got some length. That's probably the only thing.
I think you may get a bucket.
Well,
It'd have to be some half-court heave or some
listen, I'll take my
underhanded. You're trapped. You're pinned against the baseline, fling shot, and it goes in.
Listen,
wouldn't be anything structured.
I'll start pulling from the logo and just see what happens.
Yeah. What's Nebraska ranked this afternoon?
10th.
10th?
Who lost ahead
ninth.
of them?
A ton of teams lost.
I'll say a lot of people lost ahead of them. Let me check the old rankings here. So who do we have? Iowa State lost, Purdue lost, Gonzaga lost.
Yeah, at St. Mary's.
Did Illinois lose?
Yeah,
Illinois lost. Did Virginia lost to Duke?
Certainly on TV more than Leave It to Beaver reruns.
So I mean, I think you could get.
How about Duke just stomping a mud hole in UVA?
You could get to 8 or 9.
Mate, Virginia.
Yeah, that was rough.
I'll put Nebraska today at number 9.
Number 9.
Number 9.
That
So it would be
about right.
March 2nd.
Top 10 team in the country.
Top 10 team in the country.
Yeah, they'll certainly be in the top 10. I mean, Virginia, Illinois, Gonzaga, Purdue all directly lost in front of them.
Suave, am I off camera? I caught him slipping.
He's going to come in here and fight you.
Well, I feel like when I look at you, I want to be far enough away. Is this awkward? I feel like I'm violating your space.
I'm fine, but if you're uncomfortable, we can always back the camera up.
Are you like, why? If I was right here, would you be like, why are you staring at me?
No, I'm fine.
Does this feel better?
I'm fine either way, honestly.
Of course you are, because that would mean that I can't have an excuse to back up.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, hell yeah, I want to do it now.
We can always back up the camera. Here's the problem, though, as you forget about our new setup, is if Rico really wants to be petty, he can just put your cam on you the whole time.
Yeah.
And you can't get out of that.
I think one thing Rico and everybody else in this building will have to understand is I just get up and leave. So that's a risk we run.
That's the gamble we're taking here.
Yeah. Being childish is only funny for so long.
Wait.
Is this awkward?
That's
fine. A little awkward.
I mean, it's a little close, but I'm not like, I don't know.
If you're in the passenger seat and I was driving, and sometimes I like to put my arm like this when I'm driving. Is that weird?
I don't care.
Yeah.
I understand. Like when you're driving, sometimes you want to stretch the arm out a little bit. I get it.
Are you a console guy? Do you hold your gear shift?
Usually I'm on the console. Sometimes I'll go opposite seat a lot.
Yeah.
Just to like stretch the shoulder out a little bit,
Yeah, I don't know why I asked. No, that's not happening. I don't even like kissing. I mean, to be honest.
I don't know where that came from.
He said kiss.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen, Rico.
Yeah. See, I'm with L-Dub.
What are you doing?
Ravi's just as far off camera as DB.
I'm on camera.
Thanks for having my back.
I'm on camera, L-Dub. We're right here.
Of course, TK would think Rico's funny.
See? Right
everybody
on camera.
Everybody thinks Rico's funny.
I know everybody likes Rico. It's a real problem we have in the office here.
Oh, hi, AJ. He's back.
He's zooming the camera out.
He's like, I hate nonsense. He's so pragmatic. Golly, I bet you're a lot of fun at parties, AJ. Jeez.
All right, so why we got old?
How about his delivery?
He didn't say a word.
He just came in pissed, moved the camera back, and left. Like, these guys are idiots. Shane, how's the phone game? Are the phones working?
We don't have phones yet.
Well, we got this multi-million-dollar facility and setup, and we can't get a goddamn phone.
You're not asking the right person.
Really, Christmas.
Rico's just
We
shaking his
spared
head
no
over here.
expenses in this studio, and the phone doesn't work.
Yeah, but we got tchotchkes.
I
on
like
the
it
wall
better
now.
when you're asking Rico questions, not me.
Well, you get nervous. Rico could give 2 cares.
TK, you're right. AJ did used to throw Ragers in his trailer. That's a real thing.
Yeah, but it's easy when you're young, dumb, and
In Kearney.
yeah. Yep.
So why do we have Jeep Wade this morning? What's
Why do we have Jeep Wade?
Yeah, what's good old Jeep talking to us?
Jeep Wade is here because Nebraska has a very competitive offensive line.
Yeah, who was it?
And he's got some big boys.
Who was it? Was it Owen talking about the offensive line?
Owen.
Chambliss?
Chambliss. Yeah, probably.
He had
yeah.
He had some nice things to say about the offensive line.
Yeah, and Chambliss is a big guy.
Yeah.
See, I tell you one thing. Chambliss figured out he's gonna have to up his physicality.
Yeah.
Yeah, these boys, they're some.
He's a big kid though. Chambliss is big.
Yeah,
He's thick.
But you know what? He's not bigger than Foster.
Yeah, I haven't seen Foster, I guess, in that setting yet.
He ain't bigger than Foster. Foster's a big boy.
Chambliss is a little thicker than I thought he was going to be.
And he's wearing what was he wearing out there? 33
number wise.
Yeah. So I'm just memorizing the numbers. 24. I like, or I'm not critiquing practice. 24 is receiver, light skinned guy. Who is that? Freshman. Foster's wearing 24. Chambliss is wearing 33. McDougal's wearing 26. Another good pup is wearing.
Is it Nayland? Is that who you're talking about?
Yeah.
Freshman?
Yeah.
I'll say because there's only two of them.
Good frame. I like the little guy from Miami too.
Larry?
Yeah. Larry's got some talent.
Yeah, they got they got three of those now, kind of in that same prototype.
Yeah, Larry's got some talent.
Larry, Jacory, and Cortez, kind of in that same mold.
And you know who I lost my train of thought.
Who else you like?
We're not doing that, remember?
I didn't know what you're doing. You said you're talking about Nayland, you're talking about Larry, you're talking about.
We're not doing anything that I've seen or like.
Wide receivers, talking about.
Oh, you know who isn't as long as I thought?
Who?
Not answering that question, Jibs. Odom.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Because he's like 6'2", isn't he?
I don't think so.
Okay, because that's what I think that's what they had him listed at.
I don't think so.
They had him at 6'1", so
yeah,
not crazy. I mean, it's
just trying to remember new numbers. Rules were in 25.
They liked Rule.
They're all on the flip. So I don't think Coach Rule was. I don't think that was hyperbole.
Yeah, he talked pretty extensively about Jamal.
Yeah, I don't think that was hyperbole at all. Shane, I don't have the clip pulled. No, these guys probably want to take a break. This whole new format thing with those guys bossing us around is tough.
I mean, it's not really a new format. We're a full hour in at this point.
We have 2 minutes.
Oh, till the hour?
Yeah.
Oh, geez.
I was going to say, this is not an early.
What happened?
This is not an early break.
Well, he usually gives us the thing.
I know. He usually gives us the finger and then says break.
Wow, that went fast. What were we talking about?
Rico, you flipped me off like 4 times already this morning.
He double birded you first. He was like not super happy.
Yeah, that was for Mello, I think.
Yeah. Oh, Hanlon did wear 33. Good call on Bellevue East finest.
Big Matt O'Hanlon guy.
Yeah.
Except for that one time.
Virginia Tech?
Yep.
Why are you bringing up old stuff?
He had that 3 interception.
I don't even think
later.
that was it. So he walked me through that once, but I forgot what actually happened.
You know what actually happened?
Virginia Tech scored late.
Is he was the last man back and somebody got behind him.
I understand.
I don't know what was called, but I'm sure it wasn't that. I doubt Bo was like, you know what? If somebody runs by you, we're cool.
So I don't have a Keith gave Jess a flip chart. I didn't get one. I should probably have him send that to me.
Yeah, see if you can flip chart. I want a flip chart.
Well, hey, I got a guy. Keith would be like, yeah, no. How about that? I'm trying to think.
It's 11.
What's that?
Jamal Rule?
No, he's wearing 25, I think.
No, I mean the clip.
Yeah. Hey, Shane.
Clip 11, Shane, please.
Play clip.
I'm not sure what he meant to be. I mean, I think all of us have been really impressed with Jamal. I think he's a natural runner. You know, he's a freshman, and he's already 210. 208, 210. So he's big, he's fast, he has good vision, very conscientious. You know, I was leaving the other night, and I think it was Wednesday night. He was coming in to, go back through the install one more time and catch some balls in the jug. So he wants to play. So I think he's a really good prospect and a guy that is competing to play.
One thing I like that he does is he puts his foot in the dirt.
Jamal?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of guys don't like to use, put one leg in the dirt. You have to have a certain kind of trunk, certain kind of confidence.
Oh, so you have to have a certain amount of certainty of where you're trying to go, right? Like you're not dancing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, most guys don't like the one leg takes some, it takes some.
Yeah. Most
guys, you either kind of jump or they tip tap. He can stick it and then get back vertical.
Yeah.
You say it and it's like, but he's He can put one foot in the ground.
Yeah, you see a lot of jump cut guys these days. I feel
Yeah,
like.
so that's probably more a guy like Mosey.
Yeah, jump cut's a little bit more popular, I think.
Who's got wiggle. So yeah, I don't think that was much hyperbole at all with that. We'll get back to some of the other stuff Coach Rule said.
Coming up, we've got Sam McKewon from the Omaha World Herald, and then at 9 o'clock, we're going to talk to 9 o'clock. We're going to talk to John Ledyard. He is an NFL draft scout, covers the draft for johnledyard.substack.com. We'll talk a little combine and more at 9 o'clock.
He's so nasty.
We'll be right back. More Hurrdat Sports Live.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, there's been some really good ones to pick from, but maybe one of her best all-around games as a Husker, in my personal opinion. I just thought that she rebounded it well. She rebounded down the floor. She made hustle plays that allowed us to be able to play with pace and set the tone early with our pace on offense and creating offense. Double-double, but was really, really close to that triple-double status. And I just thought she played with incredible effort on both sides of the ball, and that when she does that, she's really, really special.
Yeah, I think the challenges are just, making sure we're all on the same page every play, making sure we have effective communication from a play-to-play basis. I think I can come in and help because I've been in the defense for a whole year, right? So I've seen most of the looks, most of the sets. I understand pretty much all the communication front to back. So I can pretty much make sure the guys up front and the guys behind me are good every snap. Make sure we're all playing on the same page so we can play fast. Yeah, I mean, we're deep. We got some obviously young guys, like you said, like Will and Blueberry are good players, and I just think we have a really smart group that's really ready to work. It's probably the most talented group I've been a part of, and I think we're going to do some good things from that room this year.
Well, I've really enjoyed the early start. I think it's been good for us. We've been able to be outside the last few days, which when we were not anticipating, one way or the other. But it's been good. The guys that have come in that are new, the transfers, you can tell a lot of those guys have played a lot of football. They're mature. They know how to practice. They like to practice. The freshmen getting acclimated to what's expected of them. The guys returning. You can see a lot of guys making a lot of jumps. So. It's good, just to be able to install, especially on defense, a new system and see who's learning it and how they're responding. And I'm glad we did it.
Welcome to Hurrdat Sports Live.
I think he knows his defense. He knows there's not a lot of gray area. It's something that he owns. He's not putting something new in, so I think he's able to teach it well. I think the coaches are doing a good job. So and when you think about a defense, it's everything from the X's and O's all the way down to this is how we teach tackling. Here's when we want you to tackle high, when we want you to tackle low. Here's how we want to disrupt the ball and cause fumbles, and et cetera, et cetera. So he's extremely detailed. And I think I said the other day, I sit in his position meetings just so I can hear not even just the overall, but just how he's teaching the minute details. And I think he does a great job. And I think we're pretty far ahead of where I would have hoped to have been.
Welcome back, Hurrdat Sports Live, presented by Next Gen Male Medical. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports HQ. We are joined now by Sam McKewon from the Omaha World Herald. Do we have Sam? There he is. Sam, how are we doing this morning?
I'm great, guys. How are you?
We're hanging in there, buddy. Hang in there. Are you ready for the you're going to get a little bit of a warm-up. Are you safe in thinking that you were done with the last couple of weeks of chill?
Not quite.
Right.
Because you always have to assume there's going to be a freak snowstorm during the state basketball tournament, either the girls basketball tournament or the boys basketball tournament. On Wednesday morning, there's going to be a sudden 2 inches of snow between Omaha and Lincoln. So long as we get past that.
I looked at the 7-day. I think we're safe.
I know it's just going to creep up on you. You're not even going to know it's coming. And then, there it is, Wednesday morning, 9 a.m. There's 9 people at PBA because there was a surprise snowstorm.
The city of Lincoln has to be bound and determined to not let what happened to them happen a couple of weeks ago again, right? Boy, they took it on the chin, didn't they?
Yeah, well, we all did. We were all that was a good example of a surprise storm. So usually they talk about the weather dome down here, and the dome failed. It just didn't even come up. They just the walls of the dome stayed down. But it's like a law that like sooner or later at state tournament there's gonna be a snow day. And so I don't know what'll happen. The girls are this week. It should be fine. I think, you just never know. Next week on Wednesday or Thursday of spring break for the LPS kids down here, there's probably going to be something that happens.
Geez, Sam. And I'm a 4 seasons guy. I actually kind of want it, but
okay.
You're speaking into existence.
Big landscape guy. I mean, I think the 1 year it didn't snow, the entire world ended. So that was fun.
Right. So, I was there. I was there for that boys tournament. That was a unique experience that I never want to replicate during COVID.
Yeah, it was nice to have Nebraska State High School boys basketball lead Sports Center, though, since it was the only thing happening.
The only one in the entire, pretty much the entire nation. Creighton played the last college basketball game that year.
Half of one. And high school basketball in Nebraska was the last high school basketball. So it was setting a trend that, again, we never want to revisit. That was the Jet Canfield legacy half. That's what we remember that as.
That's right. Yeah.
Hey, green eggs and ham. Is there anything what's better that came out of COVID than was pre? Because some good stuff happened that came out of that, right? Was it how we consume our sports, what we thought? Like, there's some good things that came out post-COVID, right?
In the sports world or just in general?
Yeah, sports world.
Oh, I don't know. In general, yes, there's lots of really good ventilation systems in buildings that needed them. So that's good.
I think businesses learn how to streamline.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it was a world changing event in terms of sports. I'm just glad that sports were resilient and were able to come back and just be as popular as they were before. And in some ways, some sports have come back and become even a little bit more popular. So yeah, I mean, I will always remember the experience, when when my kids have grandkids, I'll be able to tell them about that, and they'll be able to tell their grandkids about it, or their kids about it, so and we all kind of had different experiences. Adults had different experiences as kids during COVID, so it'll be a unique time to recall.
That's a good point.
I for one will just have a forever appreciation for Korean baseball.
What's that?
It was like the one thing that was on in like April, and so me, how'd that go? Me and my buddy,
I don't know.
me and my buddies would have like virtual watch parties just watching Korean baseball because there's nothing else to do.
Wasn't a ton on. The Last Dance came out right around that time, and I know I watched that.
Everybody was like, "Is appointment television on Sunday?"
It was incredible. That was what I remember is The Last Dance, and then
it's like watching.
I remember less fondly Tiger King, which came out at the exact same time and was easily one of the strangest shows ever made. And one I don't recommend to people. Well, at the time, I think everybody's like, "Oh, this is incredible," and I'm like, "Yeah, that show's not. I wouldn't watch that." So that was my impression, and I think it's a sign of like a good thing about America that like nobody tried to say, well, let's have like 7 of these now. They tried that where they're like, we're gonna have a sequel and then we're gonna have these other shows, and I'm like, and it just kind of it quickly went away. Like, no, we're gonna be back in the world now. We don't need to watch people. Like
yeah,
that,
like
so.
the only thing controversial that we've had that's kind of dragged over a series is like the Murdaugh trials, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Like that's about
right. Yeah.
I can think of that's kind of on par, and I was like, yeah, this isn't interesting either.
Yeah, I didn't pay much attention to that. I think everybody watched Tiger King because it was on at the time, and I remember getting through like 2 or 3 episodes. I'm like, I'm never watching this again. This is terrible. But the Last Dance, you could watch again and again.
I've watched Last Dance several times.
Yeah, it's incredible. It's like one of the 4 or 5 best documentary series ever made. Like the OJ one is probably the best ever made on ESPN, and then Last Dance is up there. Hoop Dreams is up there. There's a couple others, but like, yeah, Last Dance is the original. And then, of course, they've tried to make it like 4 different times with Tom Brady, and none of them are going to compare because there's only one. The difference between Tom Brady and Michael Jordan is the way that they talk about things. Like Michael Jordan talks about it like a real human being that I knew and enjoyed growing up, and Tom Brady talks like a human inspirational quote. And that's one thing that's changed in sports is like now it's very moralistic and like I can't say anything that might hurt anybody's feelings. Whereas Michael Jordan belongs to an era where like you could say whatever you wanted to say because you were Michael Jordan. And that's part of what makes him Michael Jordan.
I also really appreciated the Michael Jordan. I felt like that ushered in the Michael Jordan like F-bomb era where he's like there were no no holds barred on him just like cussing people out, which I really enjoyed. I also
no question.
It gave us one of the best memes of all time. The
laughing,
and I took that personally.
Yeah.
I mean, it's I don't know what they paid him for it. I'm sure they paid him. I don't think he did all that for free, but like, talk about a guy that knew the stage that he was going to be on when he was talking in that series and how it all panned out. Like it was just, like it's hard to explain to people who talk about Michael Jordan and LeBron, like why Jordan is Jordan. If you didn't experience growing up with him, it's hard to explain it. But I think that series actually underlines a lot of it. And then, LeBron's done a lot of documentary series too. And I think you could argue he's the most talented player of all time, but he's not Michael Jordan. And I think you can just listen to those two guys for a couple hours and you notice the differences between them and why Jordan is still he's the greatest.
Sam, let me ask you something. I asked about the position groups and getting locked in a room and you get the hour. And I'm afraid I know the answer to this. But maybe you'll throw me for a 12-6 bender curveball. If you got a coach for the same hour, who would it be?
Among like the assistants or the head coach, or
it doesn't have to. It can anybody on staff. This
just to talk to them in their office or whatever.
Yep. An hour.
Right. Well, I think journalists are a little different than maybe like coaches. So like, I think I would want to talk to probably somebody who just had a ton of great stories. And that probably is going to move the needle toward like a Holgerson or a Rule, because like you could talk to Dana Holgerson about something that happened 23 years ago and he would have a good story about it. Like, and you know, he's a good storyteller. He just is. And he's lived a lot of life and he's been a lot of places. And so like, you know, if you wanted to ask him a story about Mike Leach, he'd tell you something that you didn't know or anything like that. If you're talking about like who you would want to like just really learn a lot about football and have them kind of explain it, I don't know. Like, I think that's a good question. Rule's a really interesting person. Like, he's a dynamic person, and so like he's super interesting to listen to and to kind of unpack things from. I think Barthel is really a really good communicator. I think he's probably connects really well with the players on his team. I really liked Roy Manning last week. I'll be candid with you. He was really good. I thought he was great.
I think there's something to him. Like I told Ravi that the first, 5 minutes in, I was coming back in December, and I was like, it's like Jerry Maguire. He kind of had me at hello. Like he just was. You could tell there's a lot in there in terms of just a higher level football thinker, right? I mean, they're talking about finishing pass rush moves at the in phase at the top of the move, right? Like that's pretty finite. It's pretty good stuff, right? And he's engaging, right? He recruits really well too. So he would be fascinating. I'm glad you kind of processed through it, because I thought on the hoof you might just say Arch, right? Just because of how you feel the significance of the position hire was.
Mm-hmm. No, I think the way I would describe Manning is those things are true. His specifics, right? Like he's detailed, but he's also like a position coach. So like he has a certain level of you have to have sort of an inspirational aspect of your coaching style. Like when you're a position coach, because you're kind of like you're like the guy that's leading the troops, up the hill. And so there's got to be a follow me quality to it. Not that there isn't with coordinators, but I think we see this in the NFL too. There's some really elite coordinators and head coaches who are almost just a half step removed from that quality. Like, they're analytical, they have great minds, they're able to see some things and pick out tendencies that maybe are unique to the skill set. And so like sometimes coordinators can almost be mad scientists and maybe not quite knowable the way that a position coach is. But I think Manning's going to have a job for as long as he wants it, if that makes sense. Like wherever he goes in his career, he'll apply for a job and they'll be like, oh, Roy Manning. Like if you look at his resume, it's really good. And I think when he got hired, so I think a lot of people were thinking about, well, they're going to get a defensive line coach from this school and he's going to coach all the line. I'm like, look at Manning though. I mean, we're talking about a guy that played at Michigan, coached at Oklahoma, coached at USC, coached at San Diego State, wants to be with this defensive coordinator. I think because a guy like Orich could be a head coach in 5 years, and you could see Manning just keep going with him. Rob Orich has definite head coaching vibes. And I don't say that about everybody who's rolled through here. I wouldn't have said it about John Butler.
Right.
I wouldn't have.
Guy. Yeah, I get it. No, Sam, I get it.
Yeah, I think Orich has got a lot of those components, and it's going to be a hard thing to write about because it's not easy to pinpoint it. But there's just a group of younger coaches in the sport, younger than me, right? So like I'm 48, and Rob's like 40. I don't know, 41, 42, somewhere in there, and just that era, and then a little bit younger, and you're seeing it in the NFL too. And they're just they're a little bit more analytical, and the way they explain things is a little bit more specific, and they're a little less of characters. Like I don't think Mike Macdonald of the Seattle Seahawks is the same level of character that say a Bo Pelini is. Like he's just not. Do I think that both of them have equally good minds in terms of how to coordinate defenses? I do. But I think Mike Macdonald's a little bit more analytical and dialed in, and the same is true of Jesse Minter. It doesn't mean they don't have energy, but they're not like they're not like a 65-year-old basketball coach like John Calipari, who's just going, the whole thing is theater, or Mick Cronin. Like, there's a certain age of coach where everything is there's a little bit of theater to it. And I actually kind of like that because I think it makes the life more fun. And Holgerson's got that a little bit. But this younger era of coach doesn't necessarily have a ton of theater to them. They're pretty serious and they're pretty sincere. And I think Orich is in that vein. And I think he's going to end up kind of being in that. He'll be a head coach in 5 years. I really believe that. Somewhere, I don't know where, but somewhere, because he has that sort of energy that I think young people respond to.
Sam, if and maybe this is, I don't know if this is going to be the same or not. I'll just ask it. If Nebraska's going to take a leap, who do you hope or who do you think is going to look the most different than the last time you saw them?
That's a good question. I don't know that it's any one player. I think that
you're going to take a position group.
Yeah. I think the defensive line, but specifically the edge players. I've actually kind of shifted a little bit, and I actually feel like the interior line might be a little bit better at this point than the edges, and not because there isn't talent out there, but I think because Manning's going to come in and he's going to reshuffle the whole thing, and like you're going to have to play in a different way, and he's going to ask different things. And I think it's possible that some players who are at that position, who either are new at the position or haven't played as much, might get opportunities that they didn't previously get. And so I think he is going to reshuffle that deck a little bit. And the guys that come to the top may not necessarily be the guys that we automatically think of, because I think the level of physicality and the level of toughness and the level of execution that he's going to require is going to ask everybody to meet a certain standard. And I don't think you're just going to get on the field because you've got to move or because you've got some speed off the edge. So I think that's one position where I think you want to see it. And because I thought Big Ten offensive linemen tackles in particular really, really controlled Nebraska's edges last year. I mean, we have to be honest. They didn't set the edge very well in the run game because a lot of the big runs came outside the offensive tackle. I mean, they were either, just wide runs or outside zones or things like that. And then the pass rush just didn't exist late in the season. For much of the season, they just didn't get there. And they tried. I mean, at times, Damon, you saw this, like they were stationing their pass rushers a yard and a half outside the tackle and just trying to run around people. It just wasn't working. And so somewhere in there, you've got to have something better going than what they were trying. So that's one position. And then I think you've got to get better in the middle of the field on defense. So you got to get better at linebacker, and you got to get better at making sure that your safeties are fitting where you want them to fit, because you can't give up 75-yard runs. You can't. It doesn't mean you got pushed around or that like you got your butt kicked every single time somebody breaks a 75-yard run. But it does mean that something went really, really wrong, because you really shouldn't give up 75-yard runs.
Sam, out of the guys you've heard mentioned, whether from Coach Rule, whether from other players that we're talking, is there one that you've been most surprised to hear a name drop on at this point?
No, not really. I think Mari Buford was a little surprising because we hadn't heard a lot about him. Yeah.
Okay.
That was one that I thought was, but no, I wasn't surprised by Jamal Rule. No. I had heard that for a bit, and I watched way too much Pittsburgh tape to be surprised by what they think of Jasir Whittington. Mm-hmm. So long as they can keep Jasir Whittington healthy and not ask him to play 60 snaps, I think that's a really good player. I don't think over 60 snaps in a game against the Big Ten line, that's necessarily where you want to go, because that's going to be a lot of wear and tear on a guy who's explosive. But I don't think he's going to play 60 snaps. I think they're going to figure it out where, he's on the field when it best suits Nebraska, and he's not going to be on the field 6 drives in a row. Very few people can do that. Ty Robinson could do it as a senior, but he was 6'5" and 310. I don't anticipate that being Whittington. So like that didn't surprise me. I think the quarterback thing, we're going to hear from the quarterbacks this week more than likely. And I think what I've heard and what they're saying is about where it needs to be. They like everybody in the room and they just want to let them compete and see what happens. But I've heard good things about Calandria. And then Ja'Cory Barney brought up Cortez Mills. And I think we can very easily forget. First of all, it's notable when a player brings it up because a player has a different perspective. Now, granted, Barney and Mills are from the same town and they're friends, but a player brings it up, that means they're thinking about it and they saw it and they respect playmaking. So I think we kind of forgot about Cortez Mills a little bit, and we probably shouldn't because I think he's probably going to play quite a bit this year.
When you're taking a look at what you think Nebraska has to do outside the numbers, is that a group that you have kind of a lot of confidence in? Because I think for the most part, I will say they got to make some more contested catches, right? Tough. That would be my wish. But for the group, I like the group quite a bit. Is that fair or foul?
The receivers, yeah, I think that's very fair. It should be the best group they've had in a decade. I mean, I'm comfortable saying that. Maybe 2018 with Morgan, 2017, sorry, maybe 2017 with Morgan Spielman and DeMornay Pearsonell. I think that was a really good trio. Maybe 16 with Westerkamp, Morgan, Riley, Pearsonell, and I don't know who else there was. There was somebody else that year. That was Seathan's senior year, and he was a tight end. Maybe that group would be a group that you would look at, but this group should be really good. It should be really, really good. Gilmer, Hunter, Barney, Mills, a ton of depth behind that. A lot of young guys who stayed in the program.
Gwen Clark is pretty sweet.
Yeah, I mean it should be a really, really good group, and there should be no excuses. They kept almost everybody. I don't think there's a person in that group who's sort of maybe he's in, maybe he's out, like Xavier Betts, who is probably the most talented receiver Nebraska's had in some time, but obviously was ambivalent about playing the sport. And I don't think they have any of those guys. And so I think the switch they made when Key left and Gilmer came in is probably going to be a positive, especially on the contested catches front. And so I think that's a top 5 or 6 group in the Big Ten. And it needs to play like that. And I think they will.
Sam, if I gave you the choice of either dramatically improving Nebraska's ability to make contested catches or dramatically improving Nebraska's ability to just play catch, just pitch and catch in sort of normal offensive situations, which one would you take?
I think the second piece involves, in my opinion, more than just the ability to make catches. And so I would take the second one because I think there's some things that they can scheme up or make more, whatever you want to call it, that I'll qualify my opinion. There were things that Dylan Raiola was pretty good at, and Dylan was pretty good at short area completions. He didn't always hit that slant over the middle. I mean, TJ Lateef hit one against UCLA, and I'm like, that's the first time I've seen that all year. But Dylan could do some things, and there were things that Dylan was really good at. And so I don't want to, you look at that final drive against Northwestern, and that was pitch and catch, to a T. That's exactly the way it's supposed to look. And so Raiola did some good things there. But I also think that there's some qualities that they can get to and need to get to. Like pitching and catching is not just about the ability or the fluidity of the quarterback. I mean, I remember Taylor Martinez, who is nobody's idea of a prototypical passer. But you go back and look at his 2012 season, right? The last season he was healthy. And when it was 3rd and 3, they could run a little out route and they could run the other guy off, and Quincy Nunley got that thing like 13 times in a row. Or they had Kenny Bell and they were able to get those plays off, or they could hit a quick screen. That thing was hitting on a lot of cylinders that year, and it wasn't because Taylor Martinez was like a prototypical passer. It was because he knew what he was supposed to do, the offense was lined up, and they had the kind of receivers who could go make plays. And they need that again. I actually think they're going to get it again. I think these receivers are going to be the best group they've had in a while. I think Calandria or Latif, probably Calandria, is going to be able to do the things that they ask him to do. And I think they're going to be really functional in the pass game. I do. I don't know how great it's going to look. And I'm not drunk on this completion rate thing. I don't care if it's 74% or 67%. I think that's overrated. And I think at times Dylan was overly worried about that, which I was odd. But I think they're going to be pretty darn good, pretty darn efficient, and I think hopefully to their end explosive.
I'm going to list off a couple. I'm going to list off 7 or 8 names, Sam. And you think if you get what you're gonna get, you think if they reach their potential, where would you slot this group in terms of depth? Historically is too strong, but let's just go like last 20 years just on paper. So we're not, people will cry foul. You guys hyped it up. I'm just
right.
Potentially. Pritchett, Mubanga, Justin Evans, Sledge, Gatula, Black, Babalade.
What am I ranking them for?
How, if depth, just that collection of names and the ability to play football?
Across the last 20 years of offensive lines?
Yeah.
I think.
How about 10? Let's just go 10 years.
Yeah.
10 years is easy, though.
There's some better offensive lines back in the Callahan era. You don't put Gibson Pyle in there because he's hurt. Is that?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Fair. I don't know. I mean, I think that if you're going to ask me what the best offensive line was, probably 2015.
On paper, it seems pretty good.
It is pretty good.
And they're huge.
Yeah, on paper, it's pretty good. I think if you look at, on paper, it's pretty good.
And I'm listening to Chambliss talk, and I've seen it, so I know what he's like. He's talking about that from experience.
Yeah, he's a sharp guy, and he's going to be somebody we can trust because I think he knows what he's talking about. And so that'll be good to hear from Chambliss, hopefully on a weekly basis, because again, I think you can trust what he's saying. Yeah, I mean, I think the quality of those players, the upside of those players is very high. They have to play together. Justin Evans is very important in that process because he's the leader of the offensive line. And at the collegiate level, your center is probably more important than he is in the NFL. And so that's very important that they have a seasoned center who can play the position. And that's good. I think they need to be able to move and pull because that's what Jeep Wade wants to do. And that's what Dana Holgorsen wants to do. If you go back and watch West Virginia's offenses, that's what they did when Holgorsen was there. So I think that they've got the ability there. I would say the 2015 line is probably one of the best one that they've had in the last decade. And then if you go back even further, you're going back to 06, 08. Slauson and Murtha and those guys.
It got a chance to have really good depth.
Yeah, 2012 was good with Qualley and Searles and some of those guys. So yeah, I think they have I think the depth should be really good based on the fact that again, people did not really leave. They're still here.
And it got a bunch of competition too. That's kind of the thing, right? Like you just have to stay sharp with all those guys.
Yes. So I was impressed that they were able to retain Grant Bricks and some of these other guys who obviously saw these 3 other guys come in and are probably going to start. I'm confident Babalade will start. I'm confident that Black will start, and we'll see with Mubanga whether he starts or not. But I suspect that he will by the end of the year. And so some of those other guys are going to have to wait another year, and they're willing to do it. And that's great. I think Gibson Pop probably would have started last year if he'd stayed healthy. By the end of the year, I think he would have been in the starting lineup. So now his clock gets reset, which is too bad because I think he was probably the best of those young linemen. They've got to figure out another tackle. So if Gatula is the third tackle, and then you got to find a fourth tackle because you just do. And who's their fourth tackle? Well, is that Kanak? They kind of want to put him at guard. Is it, Sean Hammerbeck, who's really young? Is it Brock Knutson? So they probably need to find that. And then I think their interior line should be pretty darn good. I think that they think it should be pretty darn good too.
Sam, I know you got to get going. We appreciate the time as always, and we will talk to you next week.
We kept you on. Hey, good for us.
Good for you. Take care, guys. Have a good week.
Better, Sam. Thanks.
Appreciate it, Sam. That is Sam McKewon from the Omaha World Herald.
I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Mubenga's nobody. I'm going to be right. And I'm taking 1,000 victory laps. Mubenga is the best of the bunch.
Yeah. I mean, if you're right on that, then
everybody says the same. I don't know. Man, listen.
You'll be the only one to have said it, or at least the first.
Dude's the best of the bunch.
Let's take a quick break here. That's DB. I'm Ravi. Lulla. We'll be back.
You feeling pressure from Suave?
Listen, they like to take a break after guests so they can get the segment up.
Well, did Austin say so?
Yeah, we had this discussion last week.
I just want to make sure he's on board. No offense, Rico.
That's DB. I'm Ravi. Lulla. We'll be right back. Hurrdat Sports Live.
Yeah, for me, this is all been a dream come true. Kind of mentioned in the video, but a lot of kids where I'm from don't get an opportunity to represent a university like Creighton, and just play for a great coach like Coach Mack, and a university like I said, like Creighton. So just to be able to wear it one more time in front of Omaha and all the home fans, it sucks that it's the last time, but it's been a heck of a ride. So yeah, got a lot of basketball left to play, like I mentioned earlier as well, but to do it in front of the home fans is a little different. So
oh no, you're good,
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, it meant a lot. The fan support has been unreal.
Yeah, I mean, we're out there playing for them, especially tonight, and I think it was a great team win tonight, a lot of contributions from everywhere, and I think we just played with a lot of joy tonight, and I think that's something we need to do going forward.
Yeah, I think it just adds fuel to the fire. We know we're capable of all season. We've kind of fell short at times, but it just feels really good to be on the winning side of things, especially going into the Big Ten tournament. It gives us a lot of momentum. Yeah, I think just getting us that confidence back and just realizing we can do this. We're ready to make a big run, make some noise, and leave some people shocked. So.
You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Live.
They're all really good players, all really good dudes, and so I think the quarterback room, there's a lot expected of them, from Glenn and then from Dana. think that they're learning each day, coaching each other. So I've been pleased with the group, and it's a really solid room.
Welcome back, Hurrdat Sports Live. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports HQ. DB.
Does that sound weird to say? HQ?
Yeah, I still struggle not saying sports bar and grill every once in a while.
So far, you're batting 1,000. It's Monday, and I'm sure you're going to blow it, but
I think I only missed one last week. Yeah. I think I only missed one. We're getting back into it.
Perfection is out there somewhere. We're trying to chase it.
We're reaching for it. Reaching out.
I Godspeed. Wishing you the best. Saying HQ and not the sports bar.
It doesn't seem like you're sincere. It seems like you're being a little.
No, I genuinely cheer for you.
Were you? So I asked Sam the question, and I'm curious what your thoughts were about the wide receiver question I asked him. Right, because I actually disagree with him a lot about the characterization he made about Dylan being able to pitch and catch last year, especially once they got into Big Ten play. I thought Nebraska, there was at very few points during the season where I felt like, hey, 3rd and 5, they've got a 6-yard play. They are getting that yardage. I just didn't feel like they were very good at that. And I've watched Dana Holgorsen and offenses that have come from that tree for a very long time. That is the one thing they're supposed to be able to do consistently no matter what. So, that's why I asked the question, right? Because I get it's not necessarily entirely a receiver's question, but it does help if you have guys that kind of understand their roles, understand what they're supposed to do and how to get open and how to find the spots. But if you could tell me just that about this year, I would feel really, really good.
Yeah, I agree. Just the ability to play catch. And so the quarterback play is going to be vastly different.
Stylistically, the whole thing, I think.
Because, let's just say if I'm watching this thing at like a practice or something, the tempo and speed in which they move is at a high level and not much changes. Mm-hmm. So it's not near as stark depending on who's taking snaps as it maybe has been in the past.
So from Calandria to TJ to Danny, there's just much more fluidity.
It all looks about the same.
Which I think is what you want, right?
Right.
That's good.
When the ball comes out. Now, each quarterback does something different physically,
mm-hmm.
right? I mean, I'm impressed so far with the accuracy.
Out of all three?
Yeah. Because
I could see that.
It's competitive on the back end, not a ton of huge windows.
Mm-hmm.
Which
if you're just stat looking and I'm not gonna judge anybody for not watching a ton of UNLV last year, but if you didn't see much of Calandria and are just looking at his numbers, you probably wouldn't look at him and be like, hyper accurate.
Yeah,
right.
I agree. Really, really good on the move. It's just different. I think as a coach, what you want when you watch offensive practices is you don't want the ball on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
And that could just simply mean incompletions. Teams at this level always have those ball boys in the corners with 6 balls. So if a ball is incomplete and it's rolling around, they just toss you another one and
then
practice gets going. And now again, the bigger the budget, the more bodies you have, you can make practice look fast. But the less you have to utilize those ball boys, the better off the practice is going to go. So I think ultimately that's what you want, regardless of who's playing quarterback, is
not
tempo
have to use that guy.
Yeah, and reset.
Yeah,
you just get more reps that way. So that's one of the things that I always try to pay attention to. I know it's weird, and I know you think it has more to do with my OCD, but
no, I mean that actually
it just helps with pace.
For what I'm talking about, that makes a lot of sense because
and I tell these guys, the goal is to have balls not hit the ground. Like when you're throwing on air or it's some version of 7-on-7 or you're not getting pass rush.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the goal should be to complete every ball.
Sure.
Every ball.
Yeah.
And so when, it just breaks up the rhythm and the continuity of when balls hit the ground. So, I mean, That should be something you strive for, and it just helps with the rhythm of how you want to go about doing your work.
Because you asked this question a while ago. I think it was I think first time was in season. Got asked again after the season. Because people kept saying what a Dana Holgorsen offense is supposed to look like, right?
Oh, yeah, it's frustrating. And I always goes, what are you guys talking about?
And you kept at, well, which version? Are we talking Geno?
Yeah.
Are we talking Case Keenum? We talk like, who are we? Which version? Because it looks different, right? He's done a really good job of adapting to the people around him. And so I've thought a lot about that. Like, it kind of sticks in the back of my head. Like, what is it that I'm actually looking for? And I think we sort of hit on it right there. Is I want a level of fluidity. And
I just want it to kind of look rhythmic.
Yes, like cohesive, right? Rhythmic, whatever words you want to use.
So is that why?
Because it felt very like herky-jerky disjointed last year.
Is that what prompted the getting the clock and getting the ball out? Because it looked kind of playgroundy at times? Or you just stand there and hold
yes.
It just wasn't.
It looked like
it wasn't smooth. It wasn't rhythmic enough for you.
Like, because I've weirdly obsessed with Mike Leach.
So you're like 1, 2, 3, ball out.
So I've seen this, regardless of what the quarterback looks like before.
Yeah.
Whether
or
it is,
run one of the two.
Yes. Just move. Like, make a decision within 3 seconds. That's the thing.
That makes sense because what gets under your skin.
Whether it's running, whether it's throwing, whatever the thing is, you have to make a decision quickly. That's basically, if I had to really narrow it down, and I'm taking out football concepts and things like that, I would say the basis of this offense is to make a decision quickly that puts the defense in conflict. That, I think, like, that would sum up to me what you're trying to do with this whole tree of Mike Leach and his disciples offensively.
Mm-hmm.
Make a quick decision that puts the defense in conflict. Whatever that looks like, that's okay, but that is a non-negotiable. And that is the thing that Nebraska was very, very bad at last year offensively. Even when it worked, they were not good at making decisions quickly that put the defense in conflict. Whether you want to put that on play calling or the quarterback or whatever else, wide receivers not getting open, I don't care where you place the blame. But that was, to me, and I don't think I realized it in real time, that was the thing that looked off to me.
Yeah.
So if you can fix that with having a rhythm, having cohesion, having some level of, hey, we're making this decision, which is why I think, obviously, Calandria put up good numbers at UNLV last year. But even though Dan Mullen comes from a different tree, I think that key concept of quick decisions that put the defense in conflict is common between the Dan Mullen tree, what he comes from, and which is the Urban Meyer branch of this, and the Mike Leach tree that Dana Holgorsen comes from. They both share that in common. You have to make a quick decision, and you have to put the defense in conflict with that decision.
Yeah.
If Nebraska can do that, I don't care who plays quarterback. I don't care who plays wide receiver. I don't care how many running backs they play or don't play or whatever. If you can do that consistently, I will take my chances with what the offense looks like.
Let me ask you something. If Nebraska has some success this year, more than I think the expectation level is, because it's really, really low.
Yeah.
Are we talking about quarterbacks, in particular quarterback play, or are we not, if it's going well?
If I'm being honest, I think it depends on who starts at quarterback. On what our narrative becomes about that. Because I'll be honest, if Danny Kaelin wins the job, because I think it's real competition, I think they like Danny Kaelin. I really do. I remember when he was a freshman, you're like, he's throwing the ball the best out of everyone.
Yeah, I did oh yeah.
Like, you were impressed with him.
I called you right away.
Yeah, and you're like, you know who looked the best?
Yeah.
You're going to think I was abducted. It was Danny Kaelin, right? And so I don't know who's going to start. I don't particularly care who's going to start.
And I think you still make the case coming out of his hand.
It probably looks the best.
It looks the best.
Yeah, I think he's the probably purest thrower over the football. Even like when Dylan was here, you probably could make the argument he was the best pure thrower of the football in the group. But
all right, so talk to me. So
I think if it's Danny, because we have certain preconceived notions about guys, right? if Calandria wins the job, plays well, the offense looks good, and Nebraska's good.
You want it to be because
give
he's a
Calandria the credit.
playmaker, and
it's gonna look sexy if Calandria does it, right?
Okay.
He had 650 yards last year, 10 touchdowns, and that's rushing. 10 touchdowns. Like, it's gonna look sexy if Calandria does it, right? It just is. If TJ does it, I'm not totally sure. It could go the Calandria way, where he's mobile and he's moving around, he's making plays outside of the pocket. He could just look where I would actually lean, because I think he is much more of a pocket passer that just happens to be athletic than we think. I think it could look a lot more just like on schedule, on time, everything, the ball gets out, and maybe he's appreciated, but he's not given all the credit. I tell you, if it's Daniel Kaelin that wins the job and Nebraska's better than we think, we're going to give credit other places. We're going to give credit to, oh my God, Dana Holgerson. Like, what an incredible job play. Look at those receivers. They're constantly like, he just gets the ball out quick and they go and make plays. And oh, holy crap, Mekhi Nelson and Mosey and all that Jamal Rule, true freshman, came out of nowhere. You know what I mean? Like, we'll give credit everywhere else if it's Danny Kaelin.
Mm-hmm.
We just will. But if it's Calandria, the big sexy transfer, like, it'll all be on Calandria. So I think our perception of how much credit the quarterback gets depends a lot on who the quarterback is.
Walk me through Latif again.
I think Latif is a much closer to a pocket passer than his athleticism would lead you to believe. So I think his is the middle ground, where he's just like, oh man, he gets the ball out on time. We got great rhythm. Like, he gets guys in the places they need to be. Probably he gets a little more credit than Kaelin would, because I think we like he would probably make a few more of the plays with his feet, because we saw it last year. He'll put a juke on somebody every once in a while. And Kaelin's a good athlete, right? Like, but anytime he runs, it's going to look like a quarterback running. When Latif runs or when Calandria runs, it looks like a better athlete out in space.
It just seems like a high. I'm just listening because I'm learning. These are the first time we've had.
It's
a high character room.
It's a good room.
It's a much better vibe, I think, in that room this year than last year.
I think they're all rooting for each other too, honestly. Like, I don't.
If you're right, that's a beautiful thing. I've always said that's when the magic happens.
Yes.
Right? When you can cheer for somebody else at your own expense.
I think,
because at some point you cross over where you want your room to be the best.
Yes. You can be competitive with each other, but you should also be competitive about
your room.
Like, hey, the quarterback room is the best room at this university.
They're
right?
the hardest workers. Or they're this or they're that. They're the toughest.
Like, it's the same with kind of what we do, right? Like, obviously, I want to be the best daily sports talk show out there, but I also want Hurrdat Sports, which a lot of the stuff I have nothing to do with. I want them to be the best sports department around also, right? Yeah. So you want to be competitive even with stuff that maybe doesn't directly involve you. And I don't know if they're there yet with the quarterback room. I do think they all get along well, like just kind of the vibes that I get. And having a guy like Kaelin in that room helps a lot with that vibe.
Yeah, super good character, super high character.
Super high character. Like, he was big on peer recruiting. He came to Nebraska even when, like, let's be honest here. He didn't have the best recruiting experience with Nebraska.
Yeah.
That was messy.
And you're also talking about a guy that came back and chummed it up with a lot of the guys.
Yes. And that's
even when he was at UVA.
Yeah, that's what Coach Rule said, right? He's like, hey, like, I think a lot of his best friends have been here the whole time. It feels like he kind of never left, And it feels like with a guy like Kaelin, whether he ever ends up being the starter here or not, I have no idea. But having a guy like that in the room where he was able to put the university ahead of himself. Like, I don't know this for sure. This is what it seemed like after Dylan committed, because famously, Danny wasn't in the class, became in the class. Dylan committed. He started exploring his options again, ended up in the class again, right? I've got that timeline about right. So when he's in that process of Dylan has committed, now I'm exploring my options. It's like, hey, it sounds like he's going to take a visit to Michigan State and all these other things, right? It basically seemed like, and I could be wrong, this is just my perception of how this played out, is Nebraska came to him and said, hey, we really need you here because we don't really have a backup quarterback. That's how it seemed. I don't know if that was discussion or not. I'm guessing it wasn't word for word. But that seemed like a guy that chose to come to the University of Nebraska still knowing, A, he's probably behind a guy that's we thought was going to start for 3 years in Dylan. And his opportunity to start was at best 3 years away and maybe never. And he chose to come here anywhere because he cared about the university. That's where I start with Kalen. And if that's the case, if I'm right about how that played out, I will take my chances with that guy in any room, in any position group, at any time. Because that's the thing we've been talking about all offseason with Nebraska, right? Guys that actually want to be here, whether it's coaches, whether it's players, whoever it is. We're talking about guys that actually are for Nebraska and don't just say they're for Nebraska. Guys that prove it over and over again that they actually want to be here, that they care about this place, that they want what's best for this place, and aren't just looking out for, well, I like what's best for this place if it's also best for me. And listen, I don't have a problem when people do what's best for them, but don't give me the other line, right? Don't say, I just want to help make Nebraska the thing that it should be, and then go off and be like, only if they let me do the thing I want to do.
Yeah, this is interesting. So, Alan, I get that. This is kind of a waters wets moment, but quarterback play, if it was as easy as you just surmise, and Alan says, unless the offensive line shows market improvement, it won't matter who the quarterback is. So yes and no, right? Like you need a certain level of quarterback play. So we're always going to talk quarterbacks.
Also
the whole mutually exclusive things. No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, also, if you've got the right quarterback play, the offensive line play was good enough last year.
I don't. Like, I'm not picking at him. I'm not a big fan of when people say that.
Yeah.
Right. Because and number two, like what's marketed? What would be market improvement?
Yeah.
What would be like? What was it about the O-line last year where you were like, yeah, like that's part of because if it's about giving up sacks, then you introduce holding the football, then you introduce mobility.
You introduce play calling and audibles and all sorts of things that we don't know about.
Which is about what?
Not the offensive line.
It's about the
quarterback.
Okay. So yes and no to the discussion, right? If you're not as vulnerable with certain blitzes if your quarterback has certain attributes. There are certain things. Just Saturday, I'm having this conversation with Caleb about the safety play and back end, and he's talking about the degree of difficulties versus with some defensive play calls if you have a mobile quarterback. I said, oh yeah, it's funny, right? I always talk about those guys that can tuck it and run, make you play 11 on 11. There is no free safety. There is no designation. Like you all are on, right? And he's saying this unsolicited. So quarterback play in terms of mobility, 100% helps out pass protection. And it also will change my mind about what I want to do defensively, right? I would defend Jet Tamala much differently with my secondary than I would say Anthony Rizak.
Sure. Yeah.
Right. I just like that stands to reason. And I need in that different kinds of offensive lines. So, I mean, they kind of go hand in hand. I get the drilling down to, well, you have to have a certain level of offensive line play, but I don't love the discussion that they were so bad last year that it doesn't matter who plays quarterback, because that's not the case.
Yeah, and I also the other part that I don't hear people talk about very often, and I could be wrong here, right? So tell me if I am.
Hang on, he's asked. I'm going to finish his other because he has a good question. He said, "How hard is it to learn the playbook and to be able to audible out of the play for quarterbacks starting for the first time?" Just depends on their command of the offense.
Can I just say I don't want him audibling out of the play? Like for the most part. So like I understand your chain.
I think you're a little jaded because
I felt like he was doing it way too much last year.
Dylan, the perception after he was out the door was that he changed plays a ton.
To be fair, I thought he was changing plays too much in real time also, but go ahead.
You did.
Yes.
You did. But if you take you wouldn't say that about T. Fraze, right, who changed probably 45% of the plays, whether it was either left to right or run to pass. Like, so
fair.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's
totally fair.
So you kind of have to take, but to Alan's question, it just depends on their command of the offense.
Yeah.
Right. You're always going to have built-in check with me's. I think most good offenses do.
Sure.
So I think, whomever it is, I think will have the ability to get into and out of plays. One thing I think, if we're just talking about Calandria, he appears to be exceptionally bright.
Yeah.
And he's also a guy whose bravado hasn't rubbed the team the wrong way.
Which is key.
It's huge.
If you can be that confident and it doesn't make people
I can't stress that enough.
Also, is it dumb to make a distinction between like a check with me and an actual audible?
No, it's not dumb at all.
So like
it's a real thing.
I'm okay with check with me's. Let's chill on the
check with me's are exactly check
yeah, you're
with
checking,
me's.
You're like, hey, we good.
Carte blanche is carte blanche.
Let's not have any more of that. Okay. That's where I would like to make the distinction.
You're tough.
Coming up next, we're going to talk to John Ledyard. He is an NFL draft expert. We will talk to him next here on Hurrdat Sports Live.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, there's been some really good ones to pick from, but maybe one of her best all-around games as a Husker, in my personal opinion. I just thought that she rebounded it well. She rebounded down the floor. She made hustle plays that allowed us to be able to play with pace and set the tone early with our pace on offense and creating offense. Double-double, but was really, really close to that triple-double status. And I just thought she played with incredible effort on both sides of the ball. And that when she does that, she's really, really special.
Yeah, I think the challenges are just, making sure we're all on the same page every play, making sure we have effective communication from a play-to-play basis. I think I can come in and help because I've been in the defense for a whole year, right? So I've seen most of the looks, most of the sets. I understand pretty much all the communication front to back. So I can pretty much make sure the guys up front and the guys behind me are good every snap. Make sure we're all playing on the same page so we can play fast. Yeah, we're deep. We got some obviously young guys, like you said, like Will and Mooberry are good players, and I just think we have a really smart group that's really ready to work. It's probably the most talented group I've been a part of, and I think we're going to do some good things from that room this year.
Well, I've really enjoyed the early start. I think it's been good for us. We've been able to be outside the last few days, which when we were not anticipating, one way or the other. But it's been good. the guys that have come in that are new, the transfers, you can tell a lot of those guys have played a lot of football. They're mature. They know how to practice. They like to practice. The freshmen getting acclimated to what's expected of them. The guys returning. You can see a lot of guys making a lot of jumps. So it's good, just to be able to install, especially on defense, a new system and see who's learning it and how they're responding. And I'm glad we did it.
Welcome to Hurrdat Sports Live.
Welcome back, Hurrdat Sports Live, presented by Next Gen Male Medical. That's DB. I'm Ravi, Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports HQ. We are joined now by John Ledyard. John, how are we doing this morning?
Still waiting for him.
Okay. Good talk. That's all right. We'll get John
Did
here.
we jump the gun?
I might have. I thought we had
Johnny,
him.
get your gun.
John is from, you can find him, johnledyard.substack.com.
I've talked with him, so we're just waiting.
Also on the Read Optional podcast. We'll talk a little NFL draft, NFL combine.
Ton of surprises. We haven't even got to the combine yet.
I know. I'm
Kobe
excited.
said something slick earlier, and I didn't get a chance to get back to him. He goes, people actually watch the combine? I don't know if he's being facetious. A lot of people watch.
We're big combine guys around here.
I am.
Yeah. Your boy.
It's flipping glued.
Your boy.
Cole?
No. Your other one that you were high on. I texted you about him. You brought him up. Who'd you bring him up to? Maybe Brent last week?
We have John, by the way.
Who would I bring up?
Kenyon Sadiq.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
My
Sadiq
man
the freak
was moving.
Yeah.
We are joined now by John Ledyard. John, how are we doing this morning? John, you there? Is it possible he's on mute?
He probably has to access his mic. I'll let him know.
Okay. Yeah, your boy, who I think you brought him up with Brent.
Yeah, I did.
And about tight ends you liked. And then he just went out and ran like a 4.36 or something. So
yeah, I think he still kind of struggles to catch the ball a little bit, but in the right, I mean.
And you like him as a blocker, right? Like,
yeah,
you
he's
like
a
him,
mauler.
Which, generally speaking, when you get that level, like when you get that type of tight end, they don't run like that.
Yeah.
Those are usually guys like, oh, he runs like a 4.6, 4.7. That's nice. He'll get open sometimes, whatever. 4.36 or 4.39, whatever the official ended up being, for a guy that is primarily a blocker is insane.
Yeah, he's gifted.
That's
Shane, do we got him?
Not quite yet.
Okay. Just give me the thumbs up. What'd you think about, so Deshaun kind of has the tweaked hammy. Were you surprised or were you vibing with me that I said he'd be a guy that would test well?
Singleton?
Yeah.
No, I mean, I thought he would test well. I don't think that was ever the question about Deshaun physically. It was, how can you find a spot for him on the defense where he's able to use those physical gifts, and can he stay healthy? I mean, he was banged up a bit at Nebraska for a couple years
and
there.
Banged up now a little bit.
And last year, I was going into the year, I was pretty iffy on him, and I was really pleased with how he played last year. Like, I was not not surprised by his, because what do you go 10-10 in the broad?
Mm-hmm.
Like that's a good
39.5 vert.
That did not surprise me at all. Like that is a guy
that is a far standing broad jump.
Oh yeah, that's insane.
EJ's 40 times surprise you?
A little bit. I thought he
jumped well too, though, which is kind of
was
weird.
Was he 35.5?
Yeah.
Yeah. I was a little surprised it wasn't. I mean, I know he had the screenshot, the 4.35, whatever. Like I didn't expect him to run that. I thought he might get into the high 4.4s.
Yeah.
4.56 was probably not the number he was hoping for, but I also don't know that his particular running style, it matters as much. You know, he's not a guy where I think that it would.
He's a guy that gets vertical, right?
Yes.
It's more about the make you miss and the shiftiness.
Yeah, I don't think he's a guy where the 40 times is going to kill his draft stock. But let's ask the expert. We're joined now by John. How are we doing this morning?
Ooh, I'll be on the audio. John, you there? Can you hear us okay, bud?
Shane might have to walk him through what the audio problem. Maybe we just have to go. Oh, that's not better. John, you there?
Yeah. Let's see if you guys can figure that out offline with John there. No, I wasn't. I was a little disappointed, but I also don't think it matters with his draft stock that much.
Yeah.
For Emmett.
You know what the thing that bugged me is I think a lot of it had to do with what your expectation level was, because people were a little bit disappointed in Price's 40 time.
Because he was a 4.46?
And I'm like
4.49 somewhere in there.
I think he's 4.5 guy. And I'm like, did you guys not watch? Like, Price is just a gifted runner. He's not a burner.
Yeah. I mean, like, Love was the burner, right?
But he's really a really good runner.
Yeah, Price went 4.49.
Did he?
Yeah. So
that was the official. Yeah, just cracked the 4.5. Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, he's not. So that's, I mean, what we saw at the combine was the difference you've been talking about between Love and Price this entire time. You said Price is the better runner. Love
he's just
has
not as physically gifted. Yeah.
Physical characteristics.
But Price is the better runner.
Yeah. I think people are going to. I think people are going to get a value pick out of Price because he doesn't, like, if Price goes out and runs the same thing that Love does, all of a sudden you're going to have to overpay to get him, right? Because you can see the tape.
Yeah.
You know, and then see the measurables with it, and you're like, ah, crap. Whereas with Jeremiah Love, you're already people are talking about Jeremiah Love as all of a sudden like a top 5 pick.
Were you surprised at Drew Aller?
I don't know.
He spun it well.
I don't know what to do with Drew Aller because
still doesn't come out of his hand on time.
I would say that's the sort of situation I expect him to look good in.
Yeah.
Right? Like he's sort of that 7-on-7 type of guy where it's like, yeah, he's going to look great in shorts. And then you put pads on and I don't know what to do with him. So I'm not surprised that he looked good. I think it was smart for him to throw. Most of the guys that are kind of in, even though his stock has taken a huge hit, most of the guys of his caliber don't throw. Not at the combine. They'll throw at their pro day where they know their receivers and have a little bit more controlled atmosphere. But I thought it was smart for him to throw at the combine because he is going to look good in that situation.
Yeah, I was talking to Severe, and I think we came up with, only 2 players in the entire combine over the 4 days did every drill.
Yeah, it's not a lot.
Do you know who one of those players was?
Was one of them Emmett?
One of them was Emmett.
I think he did everything, yeah.
Emmett Johnson did everything.
Because I was looking through his ranks amongst the running backs, and there were some where he was the only running back in that group.
Yeah.
He did really well with what was it? I think the 3-yard drill or the 20-yard shuttle.
Yep. Yeah, that's 20-yard shuttle. I think it sounds like we got John back. John, you there, bud?
John, how you doing?
I'm here. Can you guys hear me?
There you go. Yep, you're there. You're on the move. How are we doing this morning?
Doing well, guys. Thanks for having me.
Good. We were talking about not necessarily winners and losers, but John, let's just start right there. Like, to the good or to the bad, who were you most kind of shocked by their testing performance?
Honestly, there's less and less shock to the combine these days because pretty much everybody who tests well, and usually expect them to test well, and so it isn't usually too much of a shock, I don't think, to see these guys. It's kind of lost the intrigue part of it. It's still fun to see great athletes be great athletes, but I don't know that there's like a whole lot more to it than that from like the shock standpoint. I would say just about everybody that you saw. I mean, I think maybe there were some guys who were like, ooh, I wonder how they'll do in the testing part, like Jacob Rodriguez, the linebacker from Texas Tech.
Now
I think
that was surprising to me.
Yeah, I think when you watch him, he's just not that explosive of a player. But I didn't really find myself thinking he would do poorly on the athletic testing, but some people definitely did. And I think the fact that he did better and has better tape than like Jake Golday, for example, or Anthony Hill, I think that'll be maybe help his draft stock. Although I think teams maybe already kind of were settled on where he should come off the board. So, I think there's probably minimal movement on teams boards, but he was one guy that I thought maybe showed out a little better than it seemed like most people were expecting him to.
Yeah, to your point, Golday didn't flash a ton like the numbers against Nebraska, and I remember that in the opener too. I was expecting big things from him. But to your point on Rodriguez, spot on with maybe the explosion thing, because he ran a 1.610, but made up for it 10 through 40 with the rest of his 40-yard time to kind of lend to your point about maybe the foot against the ground impact explosiveness with kind of the question 1.610.
Yeah, I think linebacker position is all about just quick feet, right? Especially in small spaces. You're looking at condensed areas that you're moving in, and you need to be able to sift in and out of blockers. You need to be able to move through traffic really well and have quick feet to counter what blockers are doing in really short amounts of time. That's a lot of what the play is, and I think Golday is going to look better on the hoof to some people, and Anthony Hill is going to look better on the hoof to some people, but when you watch the tape, Rodriguez is the one with the quick feet. He's the one that can sense where the ball is going. So hard.
And John, to that point, I was talking before the combines. One of the guys that I liked that I thought was kind of flying under the radar because he's a tweener, but he comes from good stock. The school plays good defense. He's an Arduzzi guy. He didn't disappoint in testing. What's the home? Where would you play Kyle Lewis?
Do we lose him again?
I would play him as a slot. He's in my big nickel defenders, big dime defenders, those kind of players is kind of how I feel about Kyle Lewis. Like, he is a good player. There's like unbelievable athletic potential. I actually thought he might test better than he did, which he still tested very well. But remember, he is 2 pounds. So when you weight adjust what he did, it's like, okay, yeah, you expect more of like these kind of numbers for a player that size that has like his athletic billing, I think. So really, really talented player. The biggest issue with Kyle Lewis is there is just zero block deconstruction on tape. Like, he just does not take on blocks. He does not want to play physical ball in the box, which I think you can still survive, but you just probably have to move outside the box into like a full-time nickel dime type of a role. So it should limit the amount of snaps you play unless he's an unbelievable coverage player, which you don't really see that type of man coverage ability with him yet. He's a good athlete for being I guess technically a linebacker, but I don't know that he's like going to be Nick Eamon-Warrior or something like that, which everyone's trying to find the next one of this now. I'm not sure that he's played on that level, but Pitt did play him in the slot a lot. Again, if he could just get off blocks, that would save so much for him. But even being able to do it on the perimeter would be an upgrade for him. But it's just, you don't quite see that coverage chop. So he really is this tweener who everybody's going to want to take a shot at trying to develop. But he really is still pretty rough around the edges in a lot of ways. And that I'm not sure where you'd play him if you draft him to be in a full-time capacity. In a part-time capacity, I think you could see lots of roles for him, and special teams could be an area he thrives. But I think in a full-time capacity, he's probably going to end up disappointing some people.
With Luis, do I need to look at him in a similar vein as like I would like a Jalen Kilgore, or is that a little more natural for Kilgore when you look at the optics?
Yeah, more natural for Kilgore because that was his like pretty much his just position. With Luis, I think
you have envision though for a guy like Luis.
I think so. I mean, the question is going to become with Luis if he could potentially give you what he didn't give in college, really, I thought, which was the ability to play the run at the level you need to, right? Because a player like that, what they're supposed to give you is the cheat code ability, right? Not only do they give you the coverage chops, but then when you put him into a situation against the run, they're also able to hold up everything there, even though they're undersized. So they kind of give you best of both worlds type of potential. Well, the problem is right now, at least, I don't really see Luis giving you that best of both worlds potential. So somebody's going to draft him just thinking that they can get everything, have their cake and eat it too with him. But Kilgore's probably the better player right now, just way less upside. Size obviously is a little bit different. So I think that you get a more ready player right now in somebody like Kilgore, even maybe some others in this class.
So, John, we all knew that Arvell Reese was going to test crazy, and he did. I don't know, surprised, but thought it was interesting how closely David Bailey's testing numbers were to him, considering the position change that would be required for Reese to play the edge and the production that Bailey put up. Could I make the argument that it makes more sense that with their athletic profiles being relatively similar, that Bailey probably should get drafted before Arvell Reese?
Bailey doesn't bend like Reese, though, but I get the point.
I don't see Reese as an edge defender, so it's a kind of a different conversation for me. Like I think Reese, if you wanted to develop him as an edge defender, there's potential there. Obviously, size, athletic freak. Like, I think we can do this with other guys in other classes too, and say like, yeah, you could turn him into an edge defender. Maybe. I mean, he plays very physical, so that you would have the bare bones of like building an edge defender in the NFL. I think that's really hard to do, but if somebody wants to do it, I recognize that like he has talented enough probably that he could become that player. I think he's already one of the best linebacker prospects we've ever seen, though, and that's where I kind of come down with him, is that I don't want to move him because he's so good already off the ball. He's so good at seeing it, so good on the attack. We talk about the quick feet with Rodriguez. Well, imagine that in a guy that's bigger, faster, stronger than Rodriguez. That's the kind of feet you're talking about with Arvell Reese in tight spaces and in traffic. So the way he plays the run, a big part of linebacker play in today's NFL is how fast you close on the ball when it comes underneath in the pass game. And he is just unbelievable at that, sniffing out the screen game, navigating traffic, tackling guys in space. Unbelievable short area athlete. If you get the chance to watch the Michigan game again and see there's an end around to a player from Michigan, one of their speedy guys, and he's like on the edge on this play, and he like chases the guy on the perimeter. The guy tries to juke him. The guy tries to juke him. He just mirrors him, drops him in the backfield for a loss. Like, just like unbelievable to see a guy this size move the way he moves. It's not even just straight line speed. It's all the functional movement that the combine doesn't even necessarily test that you need for the position. He just has it, and he's unbelievably physical, just throws blockers off of him. So I think he's just a rare off-ball linebacker type. Yeah, there's some like awareness and coverage, some like just the technical aspects of his drops and how he drops that I think will probably need to be developed a little bit at the next level. But just, I mean, the potential to build things, special things defensively around what he can do at off-ball linebacker, I think is really special. So I think he's just a different position. I would say Bailey's the better pass rusher right now. Really boomer bust. Bailey's probably one of the most boomer bust players that I've maybe ever scouted. I mean, that's how, like, the explosiveness off the ball, the speed up the arc on one hand, the physicality you get in flashes, even the bull rush like you get in flash, which he's not going to be what his calling card is maybe, but the fact that he has it in the bag, the inside spin, and then on the other hand, you have like, I don't think he's that bendy. I don't think he's that flexible at the top of the arc. He isn't really the build that you want. I mean, the long arms are there, but he's a little bit light. He gets totally banged around in the run game. Anytime he goes down inside the tackle, he's getting knocked around. So there's just like these big swings in his skill set where some things are as good as it gets, some things are as bad as it gets. And then you have the question marks, right? The stuff with the photographer at Stanford. Why didn't he start? There's talk about like, he just wasn't as locked in as he should have been. And so like they didn't trust him to start. And like the issues in the run game that came up when he was at Texas Tech kind of reveal some of that stuff. He wastes a lot of rushes, just kind of like going through the motions for some reason during the game. So he's just I think he's going to be a really polarizing player. And in the league, it really has big boomer bust potential, I think.
So let me ask you this. If you're keeping Arvell Reese off the ball, what's the argument for him over Sonny Styles?
There isn't.
I think he's just better than Sonny Styles already. I think there's this idea that Reese is really, really raw for some reason, and it's just not there on the tape. Like, he's just not there. And maybe because he played two different positions, people kind of see it as like, oh, this guy can just be used as like an attacking weapon type of player. I like Reese because he can be used that way, but he doesn't need to be either. He can fit into any system. He doesn't need to be used that way. Styles is unbelievable. Probably the third best player in the class, in my opinion, downs between those two. So I think Styles is awesome player. The only question you get with Styles to me is just, is he ever going to be like, he is more of a like cautious second level patroller type of player, whereas Reese is more of the attacker. And so with Styles, are you ever going to get the value of all the athleticism that he has? Will he ever like play that fast, sort of, is what you're wondering? Because everybody knew he was going to be a great athlete, but when you watch him on tape, you actually are like, oh, he's so cerebral, he's so technically sound, he's such a good tackler. And then there's this unreal athlete in there who you see like flashes of, but not that often. And so I would say that's the thing with Styles. Like, is that part of his game going to come out? Are we going to see this real aggressive monster? Or is he always just going to be this perfect, kind of seek and find type of second level player? Because I think Reese gives a lot more potential for like behind the line of scrimmage play, which I think is really, really valuable at this position. But the difference certainly isn't far off. And Sonny Styles is an unbelievable player. And I would say he's also probably one of the best linebackers we've scouted. So just really, really hard to find many flaws in either of those guys' game, in my opinion.
Talking with NFL analyst John Ledyard. Good follow at Ledyard NFL Draft. Let me ask, so a surprise for me, because I just watch him a ton, and he gives me boomer bust vibes. And it depends on which half of the season you watched him, but he weighed in 352. I felt like, okay, that's good. He's down from 366. But what is JL? What do you do with Caden Proctor if you're a general manager?
Yeah, tough one. There is the potential there's a potential that you could just be like, oh, we're developing them. Like, we're just long-term view. We're going to develop them. We're going to build them out tackle. We're going to see what that comes to. I struggle with it. I also don't think all his issues are fixed when you go inside. I think what we tend to do with this prospect is be like, well, he's been around forever on our radar. Like, he's got to be just good at some position in the NFL. Just take him and figure it out. I don't know that all issues are fixed by moving guys inside like some people seem to think. Some of the issues that he has with his feet and ability to redirect, I think, are just going to show up no matter where he is. So I struggle with what the best role is for him. I think I've kind of been on the train that he's a little bit of an overrated prospect for a long time now. And now I think he's even more properly rated. So that's somewhere, where's the value on that? Does some team think the upside is just so significant that they take him still round one? There was a time in which people talked about him as a top 5 lock. I think those days are probably over. Does he still a first round pick? Is he somewhere in day 2? If he does, what scheme is even best for him to play at in the NFL? Because I think that there are some, he can move for his size, but at the end of the day, if the size doesn't give you there's nothing additive to the size in the NFL, then him moving well for his size isn't really helpful. I just need a guy who can move well. Everybody's the same size. The size doesn't make like that much of a difference. And so in college, we tend to get enamored with this, the size and the speed. Well, in the NFL, those things don't win the same way that they won before. You have to be a technical and cerebral monster in the NFL to play offensive line for the most part. And I just don't know that he's not quite there with the body posture and some of the functional movement for the position. So he's a tricky one. Probably somebody else is going to like him before I would take him in the draft.
Let me give you one. This might not be as hot takey now, but a couple weeks ago, I bet my partner that Cole Payton was a second round draft pick, and this was before kind of the buzz had hit. And well, I had an unfair advantage. I coach at his high school that he came from here in Omaha. He comes back here and trains. I've known him half his life. Combine was going to be a place that he could thrive because he's super gifted. For you, and maybe it's not Cole Payton, who's the second quarterback to come off the board, and what round is it?
I still think it's Ty Simpson, but I do think it's probably closer than people think between him and a bunch of other guys. Maybe Payton gets into that mix. I haven't really heard that from anybody that I've talked to, any teams. I think the top 5 are sort of, Aller and Nussmeier are in there too.
Aller made some money this weekend.
Allard, yeah, he definitely probably did. And I've kind of been saying since basically he got hurt that, just don't worry, stock's going to come back around. If you're a Drew Aller fan, the NFL is going to get to the draft and be like, wait, big strong guy who like says all the right things in the interview and like wants to win, and Penn State coaches rave about like how hard he works. Like, yeah, like this guy's gonna go back up the board, and he probably will.
Seems like a thing though.
Yeah, I mean, I've watched. I mean, my wife's diehard Penn State fan. She's grad from there. We watch every game. I just don't think he has it. Like, I don't know if it's going to ever click for him at the level that it needs to, where he's like a consistently. I mean, because quarterback play is all about consistency. It's not about flashes, and we fall in love with flashes, and teams even fall in love with flashes and think, well, I can make him Josh Allen. Well, that just so rarely ever happens that's the case. It's all about consistency and consistency of process. And so sometimes guys without as many bad habits are easier to develop. And maybe they see Cole Payton as one of those guys, and nobody saw Dylan Gabriel going in the third round last year, and he sneaks into the third round. So, like, I think something like that's possible. I just, to be honest, haven't heard it. Now, Peyton was really impressive at the podium. He's obviously really impressive in the testing. Some of the throwing stuff, I thought like there was good flashes. There were some things that might be troubling for teams, but this is going to be a class where it's like that. Nobody's taking a clean number 2 in this class at quarterback. So teams are going to gravitate toward people they feel like they can develop.
So let me ask you about a guy that I'm guessing at some point is going to catch someone's attention. I don't know if he made himself any money in the combine, because I think he mostly did what people expected. But what do you do with a Taylon Green, where he puts up the incredible athletic testing numbers? He had an okay, I think, day throwing. He hit some deep balls, but probably wasn't what he needed to dramatically impact his stock. What do you do with a guy like Taylon Green, where physically you look at him and you're just kind of wowed by everything, but again, the actual playing of the quarterback stuff, like this feels like a draft where somebody's going to take him like 2 rounds too early because they want a quarterback.
Meanwhile, they're shopping Anthony Richardson in Indianapolis. I don't know.
Listen, you don't have to tell me about Anthony Richardson. I was on that train. But what do you do with a Taylon Green?
I think the interview is big to me. That's the one I want to know about. I want to know how he interviewed. I want to know what kind of a person he is. I want to know the work ethic, how cerebral he is. Put him on the board. How does he do? Give him some hard situations to figure out, because, I mean, he's going to be a day 3 pick, right? So, hey, is that worth the flyer to you? Because the mechanics are the real big issue, and that's hard to remake in the NFL. So if the mechanics are bad, the throwing motion's really long, drops the ball, like there's just a lot of stuff there that would need revamped, I think, for the league. Obviously, he's going to be the longest of long shots, but you sort of have the fallback that, hey, if you give him a shot at quarterback, which as long as he did okay in the interview, I still would do that. If you give him a shot at quarterback, then maybe he doesn't work out there. He sees his only path to a roster spot is to do something else. Maybe you get a great gunner on special teams. Maybe you get somebody who can be a package player for you offensively. You kind of go on and on through the options and stuff, but why not give a shot at quarterback? I mean, how many teams are taking a good 3rd or 4th guy into the draft, into their roster, on their roster in training camp anyway? I mean, come on. So I would want to know what kind of person he is. If he's the kind of person you think can learn and develop and is coachable and works his tail off and all the right things, then I'd be like, you know what? Let's go in and see if we can fix some of these mechanical things. And, if we can, it's a flyer, it's a day 3 pick. We have a couple of them, one of those teams maybe. Like, what's the harm in it? But if he isn't, then maybe we can convince him. If he's really all that in a bag of chips from a character standpoint, then maybe he's somebody we can get to buy into another role if it isn't working at quarterback, we can get him to buy another role, and we still get something out of a late pick in this freak athlete. So I think that'd be my approach, but I would obviously just need to be closer to it, I think, to know whether I'd spend a pick on him or not.
John, this is interesting because I think Carnell Tate was exactly who I thought he was. And he ran the 4.54 twice. He was consistent there. We knew the speed wasn't elite to begin with, but we liked all the other things. Boston was a little different because he was kind of this sexy, not off the radar, but, hey, here's a guy to keep an eye on. Of the two, who has the better chance to change the narrative that they left Indianapolis with?
Well, I don't know what you mean. Carnell Tate's agent texted Adam Schefter and said that he ran really fast. I don't know. I think he just...
We didn't see what we saw. I know.
Right. The lasers were wrong. The hand time guys were right.
Yeah.
I think Tate is probably the guy that's still a better player. What I worry about with Boston is just like, what's the wiggle in and out of the breaks look like? What does that part of his game look like at the next level? Like, he is able to go and get the ball. He can run. The catch rate was real. I think he dropped a couple during the drills from what I think I remember seeing.
Yeah, the gauntlet was a mess.
Yeah, but that wasn't a huge issue in his college tape, but it's a different type of target too. I think like all the vertical stuff, when you can track that stuff, great. But how do you catch the stuff that's more paced? And I think that's where maybe it was a little bit revealing for him. But so maybe you're worried a little bit about how well he finishes, because a guy like that's probably going to have to finish in tight quarters a lot. But I think you're also worried about like what it looks like at the top of the route for him compared to other guys. Tate's been really good there in his career, so I think the gear changes are probably more important than just pure speed at wide receiver. You can't be slow at any of these positions, but I would say pure speed, like blinding speed, matters probably less now at wide receiver than it did even 10 years ago, because we were playing more outside the numbers, vertical style football even 10 years ago. Now it's so much condensed formation and wide receivers that are going to play on the inside. You have to be able to play inside and outside. It's guys that can run the full route tree. It's guys that can separate the top of the route. It's guys that can read defenses. So many defenses playing on rotation after the snap. So the picture's changing. Which wide receivers can identify that picture on the move and find the grass that they need to be in. It's like what, a 75% zone league. And so who can beat zone coverage consistently with their eyes and with their brain. And then obviously finishing on the ball is just always going to be massive. So I think we've moved a little bit away from like needing special athleticism at wide receiver and more about needing functional athleticism, and then the cerebral stuff, the technical stuff, that's kind of what's more valuable. And so I just think Tate's probably more advanced in that way, more reliable in that way. So I'd still gravitate toward him.
How much do you like Branch?
I like him. I want to watch some more of him, to be honest with you. I need to watch more of him. I need to study him more. I need to have some sort of non-coward take on this wide receiver class, which is that right now I just feel like almost everybody is pretty similar, and the landing spot and what they're asked to do in the NFL is going to determine a whole heck of a lot about who actually ends up being the best or most productive guy in the class. But I like him. Really good showing in a lot of ways, I thought, for him at the combine, which was pretty exciting. I think him showing the potential that he has, I think, was a big deal to teams kind of wondering what that potential is. So yeah, I definitely feel like he's somebody who I want to get into more and more as the pre-draft process rolls on.
Any red flags from Mekhi Lemon's interviews?
That's what the word on he's the word on the street that I don't know. I don't trust all these accounts, but I think that I was there for his podium session. Definitely a little interesting. I mean, you can say that about a lot of guys, though. Fernando Mendoza is interesting, but everybody loves him. So like I think it was a little bit odd. Did he come off that way to teams? Did teams care? I'm not sure. I think the bigger question is just like, is he a better player than Omar Cooper? If they're similar styled players, is he actually a better player? I think teams are going to have to like just weigh what is the upside potential. Because I will say guys like Mekhi Lemon are definitely proving to be more successful in the league than they were a handful of years ago.
Yep.
But if he's just Wan'Dale Robinson, it's probably not that valuable. But if he's Amon-Ra St. Brown, then it becomes very valuable. So there's still like tiers to this thing with these kind of inside type of receivers that are not burners. And I wonder if he's more of just a guy, like a solid guy that can help us, or if he has enough traits to be kind of special in the league.
John, last one from me here. I'll just give you kind of an open forum here. Is there anyone that you look at and you go, hey, they helped their draft stock a ton this weekend?
Oh my God.
Honestly, it will come down to a lot of medicals and interviews with teams who helped their stock the most this weekend. I would say, here's what I'll tell you, because I just genuinely, I won't BS you guys. I genuinely don't think the on-field workouts really move basically anybody's stock. Maybe Chris Johnson, San Diego State corner, maybe he gets like more of a look because of some of the testing. Like maybe with some small school guys that like warrant a little more consideration in day 3, or like guys who were not on the radar, maybe something like that. But to me, I think Akeem Mesidor's, which we didn't even see do a lot of workout stuff, right? But like he's the one that he's already older as a prospect. He just had this unbelievable year at Miami where he may have been the most impressive edge defender in this class on tape this past season. But the measurables maybe not what you want it to be. I think the interview will impress teams, but also what's the foot like? What's the health like? There's big medical questions around him. So he's the one that's got the most movement on his stock based on this weekend. We just don't know what it is yet. We don't know which direction that stock is moving yet. He can be a first-round pick. He can be a guy that falls back if the medicals are so bad that teams don't trust it. Because with his age, those medicals are going to be a bigger part of it, in terms of whether he can bounce back or not. It's already been a big part of his story. But this year he was clean and he looked like that on the field. So, like, are the medicals really that big of a deal? And so I think he's the one that this weekend, of the top guys that this weekend or this week probably meant the most to. We just don't. We'll hopefully get reporting on it at some point. I just haven't seen anything yet about how that process went for him.
I'm going to take advantage, John, on my last question here, just of your aptitude, right? You do this as well as anybody. So the positions are different. But the question is, of the guys whose tape doesn't lie, who is got the best chance to overcome the physical dimensions? Ruben Bain Jr. with the short arms and the lightweight, or a guy like Pons with the small size that will go against elite level size in the NFL? Which of those two, who's most able to overcome their physical limitations?
I actually think both can overcome them. I think Pons' wingspan was actually a little bit bigger, and I think that's probably a bigger deal. He's a smaller player. He's got some other issues, and Bain also, I think, has some other issues, but I think both of them will be good players in the NFL. Bain is the one kind of is there elite expectations for, and I do think some of the physical stuff maybe, but also I just don't think Ruben Bain's like an unbelievable athlete. Now he has really good pass rush athleticism, which I would say is like jump off the ball, the bend and flexibility at the top of the arc. Like he can do that stuff well, but like when you actually get out in space, you see some of the limitations. So maybe there's more of a lid on him than people expect in the league, whereas I don't think he would ever be an elite guy. But is he the best guy in this class? He's definitely in that conversation for me. So I would say Bain is probably the one that I expect I would have a higher trust in as a prospect if I were drafting. But some of that has to do with, you mentioned the positional stuff too. It's just a lot more fluid at corner year to year. It's a lot harder to trust a corner, whether they're going to be the same player year to year. A lot easier to trust an edge defender year to year on that stuff. And so Pons, to me, is just going to have limitations that almost certainly will show up in his tape, where I think Bain will have like a James Harrison-like sort of kind of career where like there's a couple pretty good productive years in there. He's just kind of overall a good player for a long time, but maybe never as like a tier one player at his position, or maybe a year looks like that, but not much beyond that. Whereas Pons, I think, will probably be a top 3 or 4 corner for a team. Whether he's always like a lockdown guarantee number 1 guy, I would be really surprised by that. But in a zone heavy league, as we were talking about, he's got a lot better chance than he did, 10 years ago when everybody was playing press man and had to like deal with big guys on the outside trying to get vertical. It's a different league for him, and I think it plays some more to his strengths than it did probably 10 years ago.
John, appreciate the time. Great stuff, and we will talk to you soon.
Thanks.
Absolutely, guys. I appreciate you.
You got it.
That is John Ledyard. You can find him on Twitter at Ledyard NFL Draft or johnledyard.substack.com. Let's take a quick break here, and we'll be right back. More Hurrdat Sports Live.
Yeah, for me, this is all been a dream come true. Kind of mentioned in the video, but a lot of people, a lot of kids where I'm from don't get an opportunity to represent a university like Creighton, and just play for a great coach like Coach Mack, and a university like I said, like Creighton. So just to be able to wear it one more time in front of Omaha and all the home fans, it sucks that it's the last time, but it's been a heck of a ride. So yeah, got a lot of basketball left to play, like I mentioned earlier as well, but to do it in front of the home fans is a little different. So
oh no, you're good,
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, it meant a lot. The fan support has been unreal.
Yeah, I mean, we're out there playing for them, especially tonight, and I think it was a great team win tonight, a lot of contributions from everywhere, and I think we just played with a lot of joy tonight, and I think that's something we need to do going forward.
Yeah, I think it just adds fuel to the fire. We know we're capable of all season. We've kind of fell short at times, but it just feels really good to be on the winning side of things, especially going into the Big Ten tournament. It gives us a lot of momentum. Yeah, I think just getting us that confidence back and just realizing like we can do this. You know, we're ready to make a big run, make some noise, and leave some people shocked. So.
Just having him, like, first off, the swag he has is different. Like, I love it. You feel me? I feel like he bring another aspect of confidence to the offense. Just him just letting us know that he gonna do whatever it takes, you feel me, for us to take that next step. You know what I'm saying? In the offense. So we believe in him, and yeah, I like the swag he bring for sure. Just, overall, as an offense, with a guy like that scrambling, creating more explosive plays, I would say. Today in practice, he made an explosive play, scrambled out of pocket, delivered a deep ball. It was nice, so it's good to have that aspect. We could expect a lot of more explosive plays this season. And yeah, we like that he can run it too. You know what I'm saying? His stats and what he did in the past, we looking forward to having here.
With Anthony coming in, do you see the competitive juices flowing maybe a little more from TJ and Danny?
Yeah. Just with him coming in.
You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Live.
Welcome back, Hurrdat Sports Live. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports HQ, reminding you, go see our friends over at Next Gen Male Medical. Give them a call, 402-614-9700 to make an appointment. You can ask what kind of treatments they've got, and whether you're trying to lose a little weight like me, trying to jump over fences like DB, they've got something for you no matter what it is. 402-614-9700. Now, the real question is,
I wasn't going to let the meat go bad. I was going to save that meat.
I know, and the Sir Moreland saved your knees when you hopped the fence.
It did, and the ability to recover.
Exactly. You got the TB 500. You got the BPC 157.
I got the Oaktown 157.
You got. I don't think it's from Oakland. I don't know. I'm not sure.
I'm just saying.
What I don't know if it has an answer for is whether or not we have watched Coach Mack coach his last game in Omaha.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I was on. I mean, you remember with we set the number at 2.5, or was it 1.5 or 2.5? You took the over. I took the under.
I think we set it at 1.5.
And so here we are.
Yeah, I think I would, and Matt DiMarina said this on Twitter, I would just be very bummed for him if this is how it ended.
Yeah.
Like this is
it's gonna if this in fact was the plan, this is gonna test his competitiveness to have it be like this.
Yes.
Right. Do you find another competitive gear in you just because this is not how you want it to end?
Well, and is Huss on the same page? Is everybody cool there? There's a lot of moving factors here, but you could tell, especially later on in the year, it was wearing on him. Some of the comments he would make, and obviously some of it's the losing, and some of it's just emotionally what the team's been going through with Josh and his mom and everything. Like, it's been a hard year, and I just,
this is the most not defiant. This is the most animate he's probably been about guys not playing the way that he wants them to.
Yeah, I mean, where
he's been very outspoken about that.
Yeah, publicly, where where it's like, yeah, I just can't get guys to do what I'm asking them to do. And that tone has sort of changed over the course of the year. It's less of that and more just like, hey, it's not because we're not trying. It's not because we don't like each other, which I think is the hardest part about this season, right? There's no obvious reason it didn't work in terms of, oh, these guys clearly just don't like each other, don't get along, or they just didn't bring in enough talent or whatever. Like there's nothing you can just point to and just be like, oh, it is obviously this. Because on paper, this should be a pretty good roster.
Yeah, I agree.
Coach Mack has always figured it out up until this point. I mean, when he's had a roster that was good enough, he's always figured it out. And so I think that's the hard part is just, and it's probably the hard part for him too, right? Is just to say, why didn't this work? And I think if you can, maybe I'm oversimplifying, I think the answer to that question internally might decide whether he's okay walking away or not.
Yeah, I sent you guys, well, some heard it, but live, but I sent you guys that clip at the end of the presser, and that just kind of typified, I think, the season, with regards to John, which was kind of un-Mac like.
Which I think we've got it, don't we, guys?
But I do think. Oh, do we? Yeah, I'm sure these
doesn't
guys have
happen
it.
everywhere. And I'll never forget 0-8 in the Big East, playing Butler at 8:00 on a Tuesday night, and there's 18,000 people here in 2015. That just doesn't happen. So we appreciate our fans so much, and I appreciate the media. You guys have been Walker. I don't read any of your shit because it sucks, but you've been very fair in a difficult year. And,
yeah, I think he's serious.
We appreciate that, and we're not done. We're going to go to Butler and give it our best shot.
Yeah, like it.
There was zero smile.
Yeah. He kind of tried to save it a little bit.
No,
you're fair.
No. One more time. See, we don't have to play like if you guys can condense it, that'd be great. But I'm just looking at his expression.
So we appreciate our fans so much, and I appreciate the media. You guys have been Walker. I don't read any of your shit because it sucks, but you've been very fair in a difficult year.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know, man. I know that.
I think he tried to save it with but you've been very fair, but it didn't seem like he was kidding.
No. I think he was keeping it a buck, as the kids like to say.
Which is, I mean, it's a difficult place to be because, and I've said this, Creighton generally gets treated pretty well by the media. You don't get a ton, like Creighton doesn't get the same treatment that Nebraska football does.
No,
right?
We're a lot more patient and
kind. Yes. Like they don't have to deal for being a power conference team that's had a
who
good
traditionally is playing late into March.
Yeah, has had a good deal of success. I mean, 3 Sweet 16s and Elite 8. Like they've had deep runs, and there's also been failures. Whereas if that was happening at Nebraska football at that level, there would be a lot of slings and arrows, and Creighton just never has really had to deal with that. Which is a super kind of interesting spot to be, where I think it does make the relationship between the media and Creighton men's basketball kind of strange, because when criticism does get introduced, I don't know that they always know how to take it, because it's not a thing that happens very often.
Yeah, they're usually pretty good.
I mean, there's usually not that much to criticize.
They're pretty good.
I mean, I've been, there's been times where I've been labeled as like the hater because I'm like, hey, they're not playing very good right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not really attacking them. It's just like, they're 6-6 on a couple years ago with a team that's supposed to be really good. And people are like, oh, Ravi's killing everybody. It's like, no, they should be better than this right now. Like that's not a hot take, but I don't know. It'll be really interesting. We don't have to stay on this forever, but it'll be really interesting to see what decision Coach Mack makes and kind of what time frame it happens in as well. Cause I think that matters as the season starts to come to an end. You got to figure out what your roster is next year.
And I think fortunately for Coach Mack, he hasn't strung too many of these years together.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
that's why it's in such stark contrast.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean,
conversely,
it's been a decade, right?
To the other way.
Yes.
For the comparison for Nebraska.
Yeah, 100%. I did want to get back to the NFL Combine here real quick, and specifically
a lot
with some of the Nebraska guys. Obviously, you just had Deshaun and Emmett there. I thought Deshaun probably did himself some favors in terms of showing some explosiveness there. on the NFL Combine and like measuring, because I think he legit measured at 6'3", right?
Yeah, he's a long guy.
Like getting the full.
Spent a lot of time talking to him. He's a legit full 6'3".
I think that helps a lot because a lot of times, we talked about it with Ruben Bain a little bit, where it's like, yeah, he was listed at 270. Tim told us on Friday most people thought he was closer to 280, and he weighs in closer to 260. A lot of times these college measurements are a little soft at best. So for him at that position to measure a full 6'3", I think is as important as the 10-10 broad jump. I think is as important as anything outside of interviews and stuff where you kind of get to know a guy. Like I don't know draft wise where he ends up, but I think he probably did well for himself this weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think he kept it safe. And then they both get to come back for pro days on their home turf. So I think that'll be super advantageous, especially for a guy like Emmett.
Yeah, so especially if he can, I don't think it makes a huge difference, but he can run a little faster. I think that helps him a lot.
Yeah.
My question is,
because some may say that Washington may have jumped him now for RB3.
Yeah.
Because
he was blazing.
Yeah, and I think you thought he was fast, then you rolled tape, and you're like, I don't know if he plays that fast.
Yeah.
And now Washington's back to running fast.
Yeah, no, he's pretty fast.
Yeah, it's moving. All positions though were all-time highs.
Yeah, I think I just counted up while we were before we talked to John there. 11 receivers went sub 4.4.
Yeah.
So in the 4.3s, and you had a handful in the 4.2s as
D-line fast as it's ever been.
Yeah.
Linebackers fast as it's ever been.
Multiple
DBs
4.4
fast as
guys.
it's ever been. Like everybody is. It's just training and evolution, right?
Yeah.
People train for this thing.
Yeah, and they've gotten much better at training for this than they used to. I am curious about Nebraska's pro day coming up here because how important are the measurables for Sierra Wright to you?
Well, I think they're critical
because the tape is what it is. Like the tape is great.
Yeah.
Right. Like I don't think you can make any arguments about the tape. The question is probably size first because you've told me like you stand next to him, he seems kind of little.
Slight, yeah.
So size first, and then is he a guy where you're like, okay, if he runs in the 4.4s, all of a sudden you feel way differently about who he is as a prospect?
He's a really good player with really good tape.
Yeah, the tape's the tape's great,
and he plays with a certain level of physicality that I like too. And he's a good tackler for his size,
for sure. And a lot of corners don't like to be about that life.
Yeah, and I just don't think you can play like that in the NFL anymore
without wanting to tackle. And
you've got to be able to tackle because what you see happen now with these offenses is they put you in the run fit.
Yeah,
they won't block you; they'll go right to safety. You've got to crack replace. Like they put corners in the run fit.
Yeah, what does it make safeties and linebackers cover, make corners tackle?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's the whole premise of the offense.
Yeah.
All right. So, and to that point, I asked Sam the question, if you got the sit down. I was surprised he picked Holgorsen and Rule, but he did explain why from a context standpoint in terms of like the storytelling. Where would you start?
So I definitely if I'm just talking to a guy, I would have a hard time not picking Holgorsen because of my affinity for Mike Leach. I would just want to talk to him about Mike Leach for an hour. But if I'm talking about this year, this team, and what I want to learn, I don't think Holgorsen's high on that list. I would want to talk to Rule just because I think he'd be friends with me if he got to know me. So I feel like he'd like me, but that's probably just my irrational confidence.
He is very, very direct this year. He's not.
In terms of football stuff for this year, I think it's really hard not to pick Orich. I think but we talked about this a little last week. I kind of want to, I kind of want to talk to Corey Brown. Like
he's intense.
If I can get the mood and attitude of that room right,
I wonder if he'll warm up.
Or is he just like that?
Yeah, he might just be like that.
Yeah.
They have a couple of what I would just call super like football guys. I was talking to Jess about this last week where, she sat down with Coach Elk and she's like, wow, like dude's pretty intense.
Yeah.
A lot of football.
Mm-hmm.
You heard Corey Brown when he was at the podium, a lot of football, which may be a good thing, right? We tried it the other way.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes it can be disarming too because nobody wants to really get into schematics and actual football talk typically through the media.
In pressers, yeah.
So
Yeah.
it limits the feedback sometimes that you're going to get to. And
Sure.
I mean, because who in the media is going to talk to you about, pad level and hand strike and knockback and,
Not a lot.
Or getting down into the box or the difference between crease and alleys. And like when you just talk football, it's, I mean, you have a way you can easily control the conversation.
I will say I did think it was funny because, one of our favorites, Tim Verghese, doesn't typically ask a ton of questions.
Yeah.
But to your point, with the guys that were super football-y, he asked 2 questions. I think it was either one to Manning and one to Brown or both to Brown. And
Well, he's captivated by Manning.
So they might have been both to Manning.
Yeah.
But it was that day. And I remember, and I think Manning got him with hey, that's a good question. So, like, it's guys like Tim that are going to eat in those scenarios where.
And you could just like Manning's they got. I told you I like what they're doing in the building with football.
Is it weird that I feel like I already I'm good on Manning? Like I just feel like I know what I'm getting.
I mean, you obviously want to.
I feel like it's less mysterious, I guess, than like Corey Brown.
So who has the easiest proof of concept?
Like
position
what
coach?
he's done already, or what he's gonna do?
What position coach would have the easiest proof of concept?
I mean, Manning.
I thought you may say Corey Brown.
I think so. I think it's the easiest proof of concept to see for me is Manning because you get big, splashy impact plays on the edges.
Fair.
Like if
They're
I'm
kind of out on the edges, you can see it clearly.
Yes, it's just it's like tackles on the offensive side. It's easy to see when a tackle's getting his ass kicked because he's kind of on an island a little bit more. Harder to tell when somebody inside is getting beat up, right? Because you've got a little bit more mess. I think it's easiest to see proof of concept with Manning. I think the easiest proof of concept to maybe get in terms of what I think the room can be versus what we saw before is D-line.
Yeah.
Because, again, I will die on the hill that I think the offensive line was above average last year at the very least. And I will die on the hill that I think the defensive line is way more talented than we saw them play last year. So I don't really think it's Jeep Wade because they'll give it to Jeep Wade. A lot of people will because if Anthony Calandry or TJ Lateef or Daniel Kalen just gets the ball out on time, it's going to look like the pass protection is night and day different. Where it's like, well, they got the ball out in 1.8 seconds and Dylan was holding it for 4. Is the pass protection that much better or are they just running the damn offense?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, I don't know that it's actually going to be that big of a difference. That might be the hardest one that's to see because you're not going to have Emmett back there. So they could be better than last year and you may not have a 1,400-yard rusher. Probably won't have a 14-yard rusher, right?
Yeah, because I'd make the case too. You may see it in the linebacking core. You could see it on the third level.
Linebacker, I think, could pop off the page for you pretty aggressively. But again, how much of that has to do with the defensive line in front of them doing their job and them being able to trust their eyes and trust what they see and trust what their reads are.
I mean, obviously V9 is a 1-to-1, right? You can compare. But
he's about the only one though in the linebackers.
Yeah. Well, maybe Bauer.
Sure. We saw some of Bauer, not a ton though.
Yeah. I like him early.
Bauer?
Yeah. I think there are a couple guys that enjoy playing behind him too. When you get a guy that declares and gets to where he's supposed to be, just cleans up your fits. But to your point about Manning, so there are so many guys we wonder about that we'll now be able to see, right? The Dylan Rogers, the Ochoas, the Pet Shocks, the McGahees,
Winery, even to a
right? Like those are guys that you'll be able to see immediately because we didn't see a ton. I'll be fascinated to see what he'd do with a guy like Dylan Rogers. Dylan Rogers is going to hang on his every word.
Yeah.
He's real coachable and he plays so hard.
I like Dylan Rogers.
I
want to be right about him so bad.
Well, you might be. It was just it was a random.
You could just tell, you could tell you can tell he's talented and that he goes super hard. And honestly, and we've talked about this.
He's low maintenance too.
So I can't tell that from practice, but those are the type of guys that I think are going to thrive at Nebraska now. Like if you give me low maintenance and go super hard all the time.
Yeah, super low maintenance.
I'm going to assume a certain level of talent. Otherwise you wouldn't be here. Like, I'm just going to say, if you go hard all the time and you're low maintenance, I'm going to like our chances.
Yeah. Scott, we'll get to Nebraska baseball tomorrow.
Yeah, we got Kyle Crooks.
Kyle Crooks will be on the show. We'll talk some baseball and we'll preview some more spring football. But yeah, 15 walks is
that's not going to do it.
That dog's not going to hunt.
We'll get into some more Nebraska basketball and college basketball as well. Because guess what? It is March.
It is.
You know what else that is? That means
what's that?
It is one DB's birthday. Happy birthday, DB.
Thank you.
That's just for you.
Appreciate you saving that till the end.
You know, just wanted to get that out there before we signed off for the day.
Yeah. Appreciate that, buddy.
You know, it's I hope you have a good day. Hope you have fun.
And here this guy goes. This is totally Rico, isn't it?
Look
at him.
I asked him to put a little something together.
That's childish.
Why? Birthdays are good, man. Celebrate. It's good. It's a blessing. Another year.
I have a birthday present for you.
What do you got?
That was actually very funny.
Well played, ass face. Well played.
That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla. It's Hurrdat Sports Live. We will be back tomorrow. Welcome in Nebraska Shoot Around. That's Rico. I'm Ravi. We're here to preview the women's Big Ten tournament. Rico, how you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. It's my first time doing a show in the new studio. I like it.
How you feel? You feel
this is nice.
Discombobulated at all? You good?
No, I'm good. I mean, I've been working the camera, so I've seen it the whole time. But,
sure.
But yeah, this is different than being on the stage and looking out over a beautiful bar and grill. Now we're here in the HQ.
We are here in the HQ. You're going to be out in Indy here pretty soon. You leave what, tomorrow?
We leave, me and Brandon, shout out to Brandon, leave tomorrow for Indianapolis. Good old Indy. It'll be my first time in Indy.
Indy's all right. I've been there a couple times. I went there Big Ten Media Days a couple years ago, and then I was also there. I went out to watch Creighton and Butler several years back. Gotta have a little St. Elmo's out there, Gotta do the little touristy stop and everything.
I did ask Brandon if we should make a reservation to St. Elmo's. I feel like we should have done that before.
Yeah, probably several weeks ago.
Yeah,
I would guess.
Yeah.
You could call, see, maybe you could get like a lunch. I don't know if they do lunches.
I don't know. I feel like I don't like shrimp, so it's probably not the best. Because since that's like their like thing. I know they're a steakhouse, obviously, but the like shrimp and the cocktail sauce is kind of important.
Yeah, it's kind of their deal,
Yeah,
but it's kind of a win in Rome situation there.
It's
Rico.
whatever. I'm there to watch basketball. I'm not there for steak and shrimp.
There to watch hoops.
I'm there for the steak and shrimp of Nebraska women's basketball. That's what I'm there for.
The surf and turf of hoops.
Exactly.
Nebraska is headed. They've got Indiana first round. They weren't able to get a bye. They're in the first round against Indiana. So before we get into kind of their path to an NCAA tournament and everything there, because I do want to bring up bracketology and kind of where they're sitting at 18 and 11 and where they are in the bracket. Let's talk about their path through the Big Ten tournament. They've got Indiana up first. How do you like that matchup for Nebraska?
I like that matchup a lot for Nebraska. They've played Indiana already. They played them back in January, and they beat them 78-73 inside PBA. And this is a weird Indiana squad because they only have one returning starter from last year, and that's Shea Shesky, who is fantastic. Like, if you're going to have a returning starter, it's going to be her. She's amazing.
She's averaging,
she's averaging, what is she averaging? 23 points, shooting 53% this season. But they only have one returning starter. They're starting two freshmen, and they're a 3-point shooting heavy team. Like, they want to shoot the three. That's kind of what they go for. And Nebraska, also a very good 3-point shooting team, but kind of more emphasized on the defensive side of things. Both of these teams, they're so similar. They both struggle to rebound. They want to shoot threes. They have a decent post presence. So I think they match up really well with each other. And really, it's just going to come down to which guard between Shesky and Prince has an off night. So for this matchup, I think that if Nebraska can replicate what they did inside PBA, minus letting Shesky go off for 31 points, I think that they have a really good chance of making it to the next round, which they desperately need to do.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously size and kind of interior play has been kind of the bugaboo for Nebraska this year. So stylistically, not a bad matchup for what they're dealing with Indiana, who's pretty similar in that sense.
There's one person, it's I don't know how to say, she has a hyphenated last name. It's Saka Njuman, I believe. And she's 6'3". She's averaging, I think, like 12 points and about 9 rebounds a game. 11.8 points, 8.7 rebounds per game. She's shooting 61%. She is going to be a problem for Nebraska inside because she plays physical. And if there's one thing that this Nebraska team struggles against, it's physicality. They're a fast team. They like to score. They can go up and down the court with just about anybody. But if you get in the paint, which they try to avoid, that's one of Amy Williams' big things, is she wants to avoid or she wants to limit paint touches for teams, and she wants to get more paint touches for her team. But if you can be physical against them, they don't really have anybody in the paint that can match that physicality. They've got a couple of different pieces who they can throw different bodies at you for different matchups. But in terms of just being physical, which Saka and Njuman really is, they don't really have anybody that can match up with that. Their best bet would probably be Petra Bojan, who is also 6'3" and is a big body, but it's kind of strange because she's not that physical.
So let's talk about how Nebraska got here and got to the place where they are, because we rewind to, let's say, end of January, and we're kind of having a different conversation about the season, right?
This is a top 25 team. They were top 25. They jumped into the top 25 towards the tail end of their non-con schedule. They beat Penn State and stay undefeated going into January, and then towards the middle of January when they started facing off against some of the better teams, I think they ended January with like 2 or 3 losses, and all of their losses came in conference play. They were undefeated in non-con, but they had like 2 or 3 losses in conference play.
They had 5 losses in January, so they lost 2 in a row. And this has been a very loss streaky team, right?
Yes.
So they lost 2 in a row. USC and Iowa, both ranked teams at the end of December, beginning of January. You're like, okay, 2 ranked teams, whatever.
And that was a tough one because USC came to PBA and Nebraska was hanging with them for a lot of the game. And then it just kind of flipped and Nebraska couldn't do anything to stop them. And that is without Juju Watkins for USC. They were still doing that. And they were still, I think they're 22nd in the rankings right now. And then Iowa, Nebraska found out right before that game started, they weren't going to have Amaya Hargrove with them. And they're within, they lose by about 10 points. They're within a couple of possessions in the fourth quarter. I think they're down 5 with about 3 minutes to go in that game. And then it just kind of gets away from them against, again, a really good Iowa team. So even though they lose those 2, you're still feeling pretty good about this Nebraska team. And then things kind of got off the rails in February.
Yeah, so they had a couple of these losing streaks that have sort of gotten Nebraska to where they are. So they have the 2 games there, not a big deal. Then they have 3 games in the middle of January. UCLA versus UCLA, which they're really good.
That was UCLA finished the conference season undefeated. I think they only had 1 or 2 losses overall, but conference season they finished undefeated. They're a wagon right now.
At Michigan State, which was number 15 at the time of the loss,
and you lose that one on not a last second, but you had a chance at the buzzer to tie it up, send it to overtime, and you just couldn't get it done.
And then another close loss at Wisconsin right after that,
and that was kind of the same situation there as well.
So you have 5 losses at that point, and then you win a couple. You're 16-5 heading into February.
February was not kind to Nebraska.
The start of February was rough for Nebraska. They lose 6 in a row. But again, you look at it and you go like, okay, at number 11 Ohio State, they lost by 19, so not a good loss.
But that was a lot of those games in that 6-game winning streak, they're within
losing streak.
Sorry, they're within 8 points or within they're under double digits going into the fourth quarter. And the fourth quarter, putting together a whole game has been this team's bugaboo this season. And that's kind of something that Amy Williams has mentioned multiple times is if we can put together a full 40 minutes, they can play with anybody. But it's always they'll have one quarter. It's usually the second or the fourth where things just go off the rails for them. And in that losing streak, it happened in the fourth quarter. They're on the road for a lot of those in the fourth quarter where they just can't string anything together and you're within a couple possessions and then you end up losing by double digits and it looks a lot worse than the whole game actually was.
Yeah. So you've got the at Ohio State, at Michigan, top 10 team, totally understandable loss. Maryland, top 25 team.
That was just a bad game overall. That was bad. That one was in PBA and lazy passes. Maryland's jumping everything and they just beat you with speed.
And then you've got at Minnesota, which wasn't ranked, but is currently top 10 in the net rankings. So you go, okay, I get they're not ranked in the polls, but they're a top 10 net rankings team. So again, this seems like one of those seasons where it's like in a vacuum, each of these losses is understandable, right? Then you go Iowa, again, top 15. And then you've got the Oregon one, which is right in the same neighborhood as Nebraska. Nebraska's 25 in the net, Oregon's 26 in the net. So you sit there and you go, okay, in a vacuum, each one of these losses, entirely understandable.
Yes.
Now, got to figure out a way to win some of these, which is what they did at Washington, another team that's right in the same neighborhood as them and Oregon in the net rankings. They get the 1-point win against Washington, and then they blow the doors off of a bad Rutgers team.
Yeah, it's a bad Rutgers squad.
Win by 40. Which is, good for the confidence heading into the conference tournament.
It was good to see it was senior day.
Yeah.
They were having so much fun out there. Everybody was getting involved. Britt Prince finished his 2 assists shy of a triple-double. Amy Williams took her out with 5 minutes left to go in the game. I was upset. It's fine. She said that her teammates made her aware that she was that close to a triple-double. And she was like, it's fine. We got the win. We were having fun playing with the seniors. So that one was massive going into the Big Ten tournament in terms of, like you said, confidence and getting them feeling, a 2-game winning streak going into the Big Ten tournament is huge for them in terms of getting their confidence in their shooting and their physicality, their rebounding, which is something they've struggled with all season. And not to be remiss, but before that 6-game losing streak, they beat Northwestern. The day after they beat Northwestern, it's announced that Natalie Potts is not coming back for this season, and she won't be back till next season.
Yeah.
And then they go on the 6-game losing streak. I don't want to say that had something to do with it, but a part of me believes that this team was holding out hope that everything that they were doing was leading up to Natalie Potts coming back and getting that extra jolt of her scoring, rebounding, physicality, everything that she can do. And then getting the news that, hey, she's not coming back. That's kind of a gut punch. So that's really tough. I think that was really tough for them, a pill for them to swallow, and it took them a little bit. And then you're going up against really good teams, ranked teams. So on top of that news is just really tough for them in that stretch.
Like emotionally, if you're expecting a boost at some point and it just never happens, and you find out it's not going to happen, like that can be taxing on you. And so Nebraska's resume is fascinating because they're number 25 in the net rankings, but they are right on the bubble, last 4 in, according to ESPN's bracketology. And here's why. They are 1-10 in quad 1 wins. We looked at all of those games, and all of them except Wisconsin, which is their only loss below quad 1 of the entire season, is a totally understandable, justifiable loss. The problem is you have to win some of those.
Yeah.
Right? So Nebraska now finds themselves in a spot going into the Big Ten tournament, to kind of get back to where we started here, where probably need at least 1, maybe 2 wins to feel good about being on the right side of the bubble. Because right now they're in a group with Princeton, Colorado, and Mississippi State as the last 4 in. They are right behind Iowa State, Virginia Tech, Virginia, and Clemson as teams to get buys, because currently Nebraska is in a play-in game, scheduled to be in a play-in game according to bracketology. And then you've got Richmond, Utah, South Dakota State, and Stanford as the first 4 out. So they're the only Big Ten team in any of these conversations in terms of being on the bubble. So they don't get a ton of help from directly beating these teams.
No.
But it does boost the resume.
Yes, if you just get a couple wins. And it's crazy because that Virginia team that you're saying is just above them, that's a team that they went down to Florida and beat. And that's one of the better rebounding teams in the country, which is, again, crazy because Nebraska, when they got into conference play, struggled mightily with
really
rebounding the ball.
To rebound.
So beating that Virginia team, who, oh, by the way, a couple days ago beat a top 10 Louisville squad, you would think that would boost them up. But again, it's the 1-10 in quad 1 games. Going up to Washington and getting that win really helped. And before their West Coast road trip, I believed that, if they got 2 wins in their last 3 games, that they would be able to secure themselves in the NCAA tournament, even if they went one and done in the Big Ten tournament. But seeing how other teams have done towards the end of the season, like we said, they desperately need this win against Indiana to secure themselves in the NCAA tournament. And obviously, if you can go on a run, which the road to a semifinal appearance isn't terribly daunting. Obviously, these are really good teams, but the road to facing UCLA in the semifinals is there. There's a path for Nebraska to get there.
Yeah, so that's the fun part about the way the bracket is set up, right? Is we actually know who Nebraska's first 3 opponents would be.
Yes.
Right? So because they're in the first game, they've got Indiana, obviously, on Wednesday. But then if they win, Ohio State's already got their bye. So Ohio State is ready to go, waiting for the winner of Nebraska, Indiana. And then Minnesota got the double bye. So they're waiting for them in the quarterfinals, or for the winner of the Ohio State matchup there in the quarterfinals. So it is kind of actually interesting that you don't have to wait for matchups. You don't have to wait for to see who wins, to see if there's an upset. Nebraska knows exactly what's sitting in front of it. I have to imagine if they get to Minnesota, if they beat Indiana, beat Ohio State, I would feel very good about where they're at in terms of bracketology. If they're one and done, I'm incredibly nervous.
It's scary, and you're going to need you're going to need all of the favorites in all of those tournaments to win.
You need 0 bid
You're going to
stealers.
need all the good teams to be good.
Yeah, you can't have anybody that is not currently projected as an at-large lose out and have a non-qualifying team get a bid that you weren't expecting, because their margin for error is probably 1 or 2 teams.
It's razor thin. It's right there. And something that they're going to have to deal with in terms of that is kind of a little bit of an injury situation that they have going on. Eliza Maupin for senior day was in a boot and on a scooter. And if you go back to when they played Indiana, that was during the stretch where she was getting a couple of starts. And although she doesn't put up massive numbers, her athleticism and her physicality, despite being as slight as she seems, although she's got some muscles, obviously she's got some muscles. Her physicality in the paint is really something that is needed from Nebraska.
Yeah, something
and
they struggle
her
with.
athleticism and her ability to get up, her second jump is very quick. And she's probably one of the few true shot blockers, or at least attempting to get shots or attempting to block shots for Nebraska that they have. So her being in a boot on a scooter on Saturday is kind of concerning. And then Haley Weaver got hit in the face. One of their better defenders at the guard position, transfer from Northwestern. She got hit in the face by one of the Rutgers players. She went out of the game. She did not return. So you're out 2 of your better defenders potentially for this matchup with, like we said, a very, very good 3-point shooting team. And if you can have 2 athletic, quick people to go out and mix things up, if you're out with those 2, it's going to make things a lot more difficult for a Callan Hake, for a Britt Prince, for a Logan Nisley to do what they do on the offensive end while also attempting to shut down Indiana on the defensive side of things.
Yeah, so Nebraska, Indiana, Wednesday. Indiana, for what it's worth, is in the mid-50s in the net rankings. So they are, ranking-wise, a team that Nebraska's got a shot at here. But they also, you look at an Indiana team and you go, okay, Indiana sitting there at 17-13. Maybe they feel like if they can get to the semis, then all of a sudden maybe they're at least in the bubble conversation. So that's a team that's obviously fighting for their life as well.
And I mean, they're a dangerous team as well in terms of if they can get hot, which Shesky is always. I mean, she only scored under 20 points 3 times since the game against Nebraska, where she scored 31. That was 19 against Ohio State, 13 against Michigan, which are 2 top 25 teams. And then she only played 7 minutes against UCLA and scored 2 points. Those are the only ones that she scored under 20 points since that Nebraska game. She is on fire. And if she can keep that up, they are a very dangerous team to play. But these teams are so similar in terms of what they score and what they allow their opponents to score. If this game finishes with a team winning by double digits, I'd be extremely surprised.
And honestly, very similar in their resume, especially in quad 1. The only difference for Nebraska and Indiana in terms of quad 1 games is that Washington game. Nebraska got the Washington game. Indiana's 0-11 in quad 1, only has 2 losses besides that heading into this one. And that's a difference in 30 spots in the net rankings.
That's nuts.
Yeah, I mean, I think in general, it's razor thin in terms of the bubble, in terms of the net rankings. And so with the state of what the Big Ten is, if Indiana's in a spot where they probably feel like, hey, if we can get to the semis and we can go play UCLA, we're in a spot all of a sudden at 20-13. You feel a lot different about your prospects as an NCAA tournament team all of a sudden. So super interesting draw for Nebraska and super interesting opportunity here. Currently on the right side of the bubble, but man, you feel way better if you get a win on Wednesday.
Look, Nebraska is a very good Big Ten tournament playing team.
Yeah.
Callan Hake was on that team 2 years ago that made the run to the Big Ten championship game and ended up losing to Caitlin Clark in Iowa.
Yeah.
So she's got the experience. She's got the know-how, and they've got more than enough talent. And obviously Amy Williams at the helm, who knows what she's doing. They've got the potential to make a decent run. But it all starts with Indiana on Wednesday.
All right. I know you're going to be out there. Rico, we look forward to your coverage. Anything else? Did we miss anything?
No, I don't believe so. I'm excited to get out there and watch Nebraska play, and excited to hopefully stay there longer than some people believe.
Make sure you are tuned in to Hail Varsity and Hurrdat Sports social channels. Rico will have all of his coverage from Indianapolis there. Rico, appreciate the time. This has been Nebraska Shoot Around. We'll do this for the men's team as well, as they head off for their conference tournament next week for the men's conference tournament as well. Rico, we'll talk to you later. Enjoy Indianapolis, and I don't know, maybe get some shrimp. Just try it.
We'll see.
Just try a little. Just try a little one.
We got to get the reservation
I mean,
first.
just try a little one.
I need restaurant recommendations.
I tried to give you one. You're not interested.
All right, whatever.
There's other places you can go.
Exactly.
We'll figure it out. That's Rico. I'm Ravi. We'll be back with Hurrdat Sports Live tomorrow.